What's up and welcome back to Bar Down Talking Hockey, episode number 69, presented by the Barroom Network. My name is Vinny Parisi, and I'm enjoying a very nice episode. And this right here, this is Frankie Mueller, and he's 6 foot tall, 9 inches. Frank, nice.
How's it going? I'm doing solo cup today.
Nice. You having a nice
Very
day?
good. I'm having a nice day. Are you having a nice day?
I'm having a very nice day. Are you enjoying the fact that it is number 69? That number is interesting, don't you think?
It's actually hard to believe it's been that many. I remember when you announced that you were doing episode 1.
Oh, I remember episode 1. It was very
Pretty
awkward.
sure I was by Jamie when you told us about it.
Yeah. When that opportunity was given to me, I was very excited. And now here we are just having a nice old episode number 69. You know what's funny about number 69? It's obviously like a big sex joke. It's a sex position, whatever. Like, you know, just because of the way the numbers are looking on when you look at the number numerically. But like, it's turned a lot in the sports world. It's just gone because of the fact that people sexualize the number. Like, who's a number 69 you could think of?
I was going to ask you, is it like banned?
I don't think it's banned in the NFL. Nobody in New Jersey Devils history has ever worn it. I don't even know if anyone in NHL history has ever worn it. It's like,
I can't think of any athlete who ever has worn it.
Well, no, in football, guys have to wear it.
Yeah, but I can't think of anyone.
There's definitely someone on the Bears right now wearing number 69 because you have to wear a number in the 60s if you play, they changed it now. Numbers aren't position sacred anymore. They used to be. Until literally last year was the first year they weren't, your number wasn't based on your position. But for a long time, your number was based on your position. And yeah, the linemen had like 50 through 60. And yeah, there were a couple number 69s out there in the NFL, but I can't think of it in baseball. I certainly can't think of it in basketball. And hockey players wear high numbers these days, but nobody's had the unmitigated gall to wear number 69 in hockey yet.
I looked up the greatest athletes who wore 69.
Go ahead.
Number 1.
Dick Johnson.
Is Jared Allen.
That's right. Holy shnikes. For the Minnesota Vikings and the Bears, right?
I
think so, Frank.
Hold on.
How could we forget Jared Allen?
Just give me a sec.
Awesome in his day with the Minnesota Vikings. Who else?
It doesn't say. It shows him in a. It looks like a Chiefs jersey.
Here, I'll look to see what teams he wore number 69 with. Do you remember the movie?
A lot of these are football guys.
Yeah, it's almost all football guys because, like I said, every number in the NFL has to be utilized, or at least it used to. But do you remember the movie Goon?
Yeah.
Doug Glatt, it was number 69. Obviously, that's a fictional movie character. But, I mean, hey.
Oh, you'll know this name, David Bakhtiari.
Oh, on the Green Bay Packers. Is he number 69?
Yeah. Keith Sims.
You can argue Bakhtiari is Green Bay's second best player behind Aaron Rodgers.
This one, a little bit shocking because I recognize the name and I don't remember him being 69. Arroyo in baseball, the pitcher.
Oh, Christian Arroyo.
Oh, no, this is Bronson Arroyo.
Oh, Bronson Arroyo. Okay.
Maybe I'm thinking of
Bronson Arroyo. Jared Allen wore 69 with the Chiefs, the Vikings, the Bears, and the Panthers. They never once made him change.
But it was Chiefs, right? Because they showed him in a Chiefs jersey.
Yeah, he started his career with the Chiefs, and then he played the bulk of it. He became like the Jared Allen that we know with
Oh, my God. What about There's a hockey guy we're forgetting about.
Who wore 69 in hockey? And no player in Devils history.
It's nobody. He was. I mean,
go ahead.
I can't believe I forgot this. He was on the Hawks when they won the Cup in 2015.
He wasn't 69 on the Hawks.
I don't think so. They show him in a Sharks jersey as 69. Maybe he wasn't 69 with the Hawks. I feel like I would have remembered that.
Who is it?
Desjardins.
Oh, Andrew Desjardins. Did he wear? Here, I'm looking up. Andrew
can't believe
Desjardins. He was
it's
six.
mostly football, but there's a
He was
sprinkle of baseball.
69. Yeah. Desjardins was 69 with the Sharks from 2010 to 2012. Then he changed to number 10 with the Sharks in 2012, and he wore number 11 with the Blackhawks.
I was gonna say I don't remember him 69 with the Hawks.
Okay, there have been two players in NHL history to wear number 69. It was Desjardins with the Sharks in 2011 and 2012, and Mel Engelstad with the Washington Capitals in 2004. Ovechkin's rookie year. Yeah.
Wow. Interesting.
It's just weird how like this connotation with the number makes guys not wear it. Like,
I mean, I wouldn't want to wear it just because people will start talking about it.
yeah, they'll make jokes about your number.
It would get annoying after a while.
It probably would. I mean, saying nice every time you hear 69 is getting kind of old even, but I mean, it's one of those things that like will always be kind of funny. But
do you notice like even when you play bingo, people yell it out when they're like,
yeah.
"Oh, 69," and everybody's like, "Nice,
dude." And 69 and 420 are kind of like one and the same. Mm-hmm. Like whenever someone says either of those two numbers, nice.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Well, happy number 69 to you. I hope everybody out there enjoys this very interesting, very random, very peculiar episode number 69 of Bar Down Talking Hockey. It's the middle of the damn summer. We're 2 months away from training camp. Actually, we're under 2 months from training camp. I saw it was on Twitter maybe 3 or 4 days ago now, so the number's in the low 80s. But the Devils put a picture of Lil Jizzy Jack Hughes on Twitter and said only 86 more days until the home opener. So that probably means roughly like 60 days until training camp, and you know we start seeing the rookies report. So it's a long time and it's no time at the same time. But Frank, I don't remember in life there ever being a trade of this magnitude being A, so late in the summer, B, existing at all. I mean, I can't think of a trade like this in my time watching hockey. And we will talk about that incredible trade in episode 69's period number 1. Welcome to period 1. Oh, was it Thursday? All the days blend in the middle of summer. I believe it was Thursday evening. The hockey world started to just go absolutely banana lands on a mid-July evening. Hot. No one's really thinking about hockey. The White Sox were getting their shit kicked in by the Cleveland Guardians during this little ordeal. The Calgary Flames traded Matthew Tkachuk and a 2025 fourth-round pick to the Florida Panthers in exchange for Jonathan Huberdeau, Mackenzie Weegar, Cole Schwindt, and a 2025 first-round pick. Frank, this is one of the most massive trades in NHL history. Your thoughts?
It's actually insane. I mean, I was shocked. I mean, I'm not shocked that Tkachuk left. We knew he was going to left, or we knew he was going to leave. I really didn't expect it to be the Panthers. I don't remember saying that last week. They had no room for him. The only way to get him on the team was to get rid of Huberdeau, and that's what they did. And I mean, you look at Tkachuk, right? So what is it? 8 years, $9.5 million, I believe. He goes to the Florida Panthers. That's a pay raise right there. He had 104 points with the Calgary Flames, and now he's going to the Florida Panthers, where I think, me personally, I believe that it's easier to get points on the Panthers than it was with the Calgary Flames, just because the players you're surrounded with. So now, is he going to have the same year he did last year? I don't know. It's hard to repeat that kind of success year in and year out, right? You just can't predict he's going to get 105 points or 104 points, sorry. But the fact that he's going on a team where it should be easier to get points is a little scary for fans. I don't even know how to explain it. For people who are
rival fans, Boston, Toronto.
And the thing, what Tkachuk's going to bring to this team, right? Well, first of all, did you hear what he said? He wants to play with the Panthers for the rest of his career.
Yeah, I mean,
which is kind of insane to
signed
say
an
that
eight, he
for
signed
Howard.
an 8-year deal, and he's in his
Yeah,
mid
but he'll
20s.
sign another contract after that.
Yeah, but like a lot is going to change in those 8 years. But yeah, I understand the sentiment.
But so Kachuk goes to Florida, right? And what he brings to Florida is one, he's younger than Huberdeau. Two, he's more physical than Huberdeau. And three, it makes the Panthers more competitive over a longer period of time, in my opinion. So I'm a little shocked, but wow, big win for the Florida Panthers.
Yeah, so I kind of see this one, and I never really confirmed it, but I'm not positive. It's possible this is the first time in NHL history 2 100-point players were traded for one another,
I
because
can't think.
Huberdeau was over 100 too.
Huberdeau had
And
115.
yeah, and so Florida's system is more offensive than Calgary's. We all know how Daryl Sutter is as a defensive-minded coach, and both Hockey and Tkachuk had 100-plus points last season, and they're both now gone. I think, based on the circumstances, this is a trade that both teams win, because they were losing Tkachuk, right? Well,
Mhm.
they got Huberdeau, who's also awesome.
Which isn't that kind of what I said? They're not gonna just throw their season away. They're gonna have to
Yeah,
get somebody else.
exactly. They're not rebuilding like everybody thought they were going to.
Man,
And
I didn't think that.
well, you had a good intuition there, pal, because they still have all those great players. I mean, how many great players still play for the Calgary Flames? A lot. Lindholm, Mangiapane, Monahan. I mean, the list goes on. They had a Vezina nominated goaltender.
Mhm.
Calgary Flames were awesome.
And that's why it wouldn't make sense. Why throw that all away by getting rid of all your players and starting to rebuild? You don't need to do that. You have the pieces. You just got to replace what you loaded off. And they did that.
Exactly. I still think they need one more piece to be as good as they were last year.
Well, we'll get to that because I'm going to mention something about that later.
All right. And the Florida Panthers, they lost to the Lightning again. 2 years in a row now, they've lost to the Lightning in the playoffs. So they were like, are we going to run it back again? You know, like the Leafs, they're going to run it back again, right? And one of two things is going to happen. They're either going to pull a Blues and they're going to like finally get over the hump, or Washington, they'll finally get over the hump after everyone doubted them, or they're going to hit their head against the wall again with the same group. And people are going to say, well, you didn't learn last year that you can't win with this exactly the way it is, and you made no changes at all. Like the Leafs made no changes to their core.
Mm-hmm.
Florida made a shakeup. Huberdeau's not the reason they lost, but they brought in somebody who brings in just something a little bit different. There's a lot of points whether you have Huberdeau or Tkachuk, but Tkachuk is a little more mean. He's a little more nasty. And he kind of probably fits playing with Barkov better than Huberdeau, because it's hard to say that a guy didn't fit well when he had 115 points or whatever, but it was mostly assists.
Uh-huh.
Now you have Barkov, who's probably one of the better like two-way offensive threats. Like he could shoot, he could pass, he could skate, he plays good defense. Tkachuk is he's like a power forward, right? And if you put him with a center like that, you know what it would be like? It would be like having Hossa with Taves. It's kind of the way I see it. Hossa wasn't as mean as Tkachuk, but he was equally as physical and defensive minded and offensively gifted. Hossa could add another 500 points if he played like Kane. But, you know, Tkachuk is in a similar boat, and going to Florida is going to be so good for him. And Florida's also smart because Huberdeau was entering a contract year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and now they have Tkachuk signed for a long time. They got that extension done within seconds of the trade being announced. And there was probably a deal in place before the trade. And now they don't have to deal with the headache of Huberdeau being a year away from free agency. That's going to be Calgary's problem. But now that Huberdeau's in Calgary, you would think he probably signs an extension long term. It seems like when guys change teams, they sign those extensions. And they get freaking Uyghur out of it, who was awesome. And they get a 2025 first. Florida doesn't have 23 or 24 because of the Claude Giroux trade. And there was another trade in there that I forget that they gave up a first. But it's just a really interesting trade. It's going to be a long time to figure out who got the better of it. if anyone, because they both seem to do really well.
Well, and like you said, Huberdeau's got 1 year left on his contract, and so does Uyghur. He's also got 1 year left on his contract, but Huberdeau's due for a pay raise, and obviously he's going to make more than 5.9 million. But the question is, will Calgary be able to sign him depending on the other pieces that they get? Because obviously, I don't know what their cap space looks like right now. I have a scenario, like I said, I'll mention later on, where they would have like $9 million in cap space left, but that doesn't include if they re-sign Huberdeau. There's also, do they trade Huberdeau for assets? That's also a possibility that I've heard later on. I don't think that's logical. I don't think you'd make that trade if you plan on trading him and you don't plan on rebuilding, that you really wouldn't trade him for assets. But that was also something I heard, rumors and stuff like that. But I think the biggest thing here is that the Flames got a veteran, and I think that's what they needed. I mean, of course, Johnny Gaudreau, been with the team forever, right? He had that veteran, aura to him, but I just don't think he had that Jonathan Huberdeau veteran aura. I think that it worked out. I think the Flames needed a guy like Huberdeau on their team, and I think that the Panthers needed a guy like Tkachuk, because when the Panthers got swept to the Tampa Bay Lightning, I thought they were just outbodied that whole series. And hopefully Tkachuk's there to change that, and maybe they could get over that hump. The other thing, like I said, is Uyghur going to re-sign with them? I think so. I think Uyghur will get an extension of some sort. We'll see how much it is and when it'll come. If it comes at next offseason, if they try to extend him this year or whatnot. But yeah, it was a crazy trade. And what we saw from Jonathan Huberdeau was one of the best performances from a left wing in NHL history. He might have had the most points for a left wing in NHL history.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly possible. Ovechkin's a right wing, Kane is a right wing. Yeah, I don't know. That's a really good question. It was definitely one of the best. He was outstanding, and now he gets to go to Calgary. I'm just happy the Battle of Alberta will live on. There's a chance it happens in the playoffs again. Like, they're not giving up. The Pacific Division, it's not weak. People think it's weak. It might be the weakest of the four divisions, but it's still not weak because the teams at the top are perfectly capable of winning the Stanley Cup. Vegas is going to be much better. Obviously, Edmonton is right there, especially if Edmonton makes like a big move for Kane or something. Like the Edmonton is a piece or two away from, getting over that hump. Will Colorado have the hangover? We'll find out.
The thing that worries me about Huberdeau is he's not going to get 115 points this year. It's not going to happen.
But what if he gets 105?
He better hope he breaks 100. I'm worried about him not even breaking 100.
Well, he's got like 3 years in a row now where he's like.
But he didn't break 100 3 years in a row.
No, I don't.
If you look at his previous stats for his career, obviously this year was his career year, but he got nowhere near 115 points. So it kind of worries him too, because you're playing on the Panthers, who are the better team. So now how are you going to fit in with the team who's a little bit of a downgrade, but now you're the face of the franchise? I'm kind of a little worried for him that he might get like upper 80s, even low 90s, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm looking at the stats. 61 points in 55 games last year. That's on pace for 100. If it were a full 82 game season. And then 78 games and 69 games, nice. In the 2020, the first year that was impacted by COVID. That's probably on pace for 100 or just shy of 100.
Wait, would you say 78 games for 69?
No, 78 points in 69 games.
Oh.
That's probably on pace for like 93, 94 points. And then in 2018-19, he did have 92 points. That's the last full season before this one. So I'm confident in him breaking 90 points.
I think we're going to see a little bit of a regression.
Maybe, but it would be a regression to the mean. And that's like in the mid-90s, which is really nice for a team who was losing Tkachuk anyway.
But Calgary needs that Jonathan Huberdeau from last season in order to be as successful as they were, losing both Gaudreau and Tkachuk. He needs to play up to that potential.
Uyghur's no joke.
No, I like Uyghur a lot.
Uyghur's a good player.
I like Uyghur.
I think both teams got what they needed out of this particular deal with their current situations. Because Tkachuk was leaving. They lost Gaudreau. Let me ask you this: who goes farther in 2022-23? The Flames, the Panthers, or the Blue Jackets?
I'd say the Panthers.
Really? Wow. I would pick the Flames.
No, I think the Panthers.
Interesting. I got the Flames just because their division's weaker. The Panthers are going to play either the Lightning, Leafs, Bruins in the first round. I would probably pick any of the other three teams over them right now. I don't get. I mean, I get it from Florida's perspective in a way because I said I think both teams get like Florida's just doing it to shake things up because 2 years in a row they lost to Tampa. But if they beat Tampa either of the 2 years, do they make it to the final? Do they win the cup?
Exactly.
It's possible. So I don't know.
If you want my honest opinion, I think Florida won the trade hands down.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. You see, you're banking on a regression from Huberdeau. I don't see a full, maybe not 115 points. So, like, if he gets 114 points, you could say he regressed. But I'm talking when I think of regression.
I mean, like under 100 regression.
Yeah. So if he's under 100, I won't be too surprised. I would consider it like a legit regression, like a hurt Calgary regression if he's under 90, and I just don't see it.
I could see him getting like 88.
See, that would surprise me.
And I'm just saying as like a whole, I think Florida won the trade because like you're replacing Huberdeau for basically the same production, and you got youth. They're going to be better for a longer period of time than Calgary. That's something else I take into consideration too. Calgary may have the near future. I understand why you think that Calgary may be the better team this year. They have the short-term future may be better. But as a whole, I could see Florida producing, not winning the President's Trophy again. Probably won't win the President's Trophy. But I could see them having as much success as they did last year and still be better than Calgary this year. It still wouldn't surprise me. That's why I have to give the edge to Florida, is because they got that youth and they replaced the veteran with the youth, and they're getting more years out of him with virtually the same production, the same 100-point production.
Yeah, you don't have a problem with giving up Uyghur and a first, though?
I think they're so deep, that team. I mean,
they are.
Too. Look at Spencer Knight. If anything happened with Bob, and
yeah,
I mean, they're just so deep. I'm very high up on Spencer Knight.
And their defense is great. Oh, Spencer Knight's great. Their defense is awesome. Ekblad is one of the most underrated players in the NHL as a whole. So, yeah, Florida's amazing. You know me with the Florida Panthers train. I was all up on that. But it feels like an overpayment a little bit. It just feels like a little bit of an overpayment. And they got him on the best contract. That's the thing that I think Florida did really well. They got Tkachuk for under 10.
Yeah.
And
for 8 years, too.
Tkachuk is better than Gaudreau, in my opinion. I'd rather have Tkachuk. But, man, it's a lot to give up. And you don't know where the Panthers are going to be in 2025. What if they have like a year, or what if they just really start to fall off after 24, and then in 25 they're awful? Now Calgary has a really high pick. Now, it is a conditional pick. I don't know the conditions. I've never really looked into the conditions of it, but I could find it right now really quickly, actually, just by going to, if hockey fans don't use this website as a tool, I don't know what's going on with you, because it's an amazing tool. Capfriendly.com. It has every team's everything. Okay, so it's just lottery protected.
Oh, okay.
So if they win the draft lottery, then it goes back to Florida. But if it's the number 3 overall pick, Calgary gets to keep it.
I mean, when you look at the year 2025, even if the Florida Panthers stink, I think Calgary, if they haven't done any winning, or if they haven't made significant progress for their quest for the Stanley Cup, or even make it to a conference finals or a Stanley Cup final, even if they don't win it, if they don't do that, their time's over, I think. Huberdeau's not the youngest.
No.
Isn't he in his 30s? I'm pretty sure he's in his 30s.
Yeah.
Right. So he's not getting any younger. So if the time comes, if we're talking 3 seasons go by and they've did nothing, I don't care how bad the Panthers are, I think they'll be better than the Calgary Flames, no matter what. just because they have Tkachuk and they have those other pieces and that young development.
Huberdeau
That's
just turned.
why I think they won the trade.
That's fair. Huberdeau just turned 29 on June 4th. So he's 29. He's older than Tkachuk. He'll be in his 30s for all of his next contract. Florida might have more points in the standings this year. When I talk about going deep in the playoffs, like Tampa, Toronto, Boston, like that's a rat race there. Now, don't get me wrong. Calgary could come in third and Vegas comes in second and they play them in the first round and get swept. Like anything is possible with the way the divisions are and the way the alignment is for playoffs. But I just like that we have a trade like this to talk about probably for the next 3 years, I would say.
Yeah,
Because we're always going to be compared.
Yeah, and let's not forget about Paul Maurice.
Yeah, going to the Florida Panthers.
We don't know how that's going to pan out either. That could hurt them. They might have an off year. That might really help them too. So
I think Paul Maurice is a great coach.
I do too. But
do you know? You know how everyone kind of doesn't like Jeremy Colleton in Chicago right now?
Mm-hmm.
He is like on path to be the next Paul Maurice. He got a job in the NHL very, very young and was fired. And then he had a bad reputation early just because he was a young coach. He went back to the AHL and then he found his way to the Winnipeg Jets and became one of the best coaches in the league. I wouldn't be too surprised if that happens to Colleton one day. Getting a job in your mid-30s is like really impressive. And his biggest problem was the fact that he never adjusted. The Blackhawks were playing man and they should have been playing zone. And like just their roster didn't fit the style he was playing. He acted like he had the Lightning's roster on his team for the way that he was having them play. So we'll see if he's ever able to adjust and get back. That's just kind of a little side note. But you know, that's our thoughts on the Huberdeau Tkachuk trade. I think both guys, I kind of have a bold prediction. Both guys live up to the trade this year. Calgary and Florida, to me, their rosters are similar in terms of how I think they'll do in the standings. They'll both be in the conversation for first in their division and near the top of their conference. Maybe not quite at the top of their conference, but like close. And you know, I think this trade gets judged 3, 4, maybe even 5 years from now.
Wow.
Like that's just kind of where I see it. Neither guy fails to reach 90 points. That's kind of like my low bar for both of them. Because let's not forget, Frank, it's not like Tkachuk has like many years in a row of being this 100-point guy.
No, he's not consistent either.
So like, you know, Huberdeau has actually probably been more consistent in the last 3 or 4 years, but he had more opportunity.
And I think he was on the better team, which helps too.
And I wouldn't consider Tkachuk a late bloomer. I would kind of consider Huberdeau a late bloomer. He really started to become an elite player at like 26, 27 years old. That's when that first 92-point season that he had was like, this guy's elite. And since then, he's also been elite. You got to take the COVID context in the situations too. Having 78 points in 69 games, that's really nice. Like we could do the math here. 68 or what did I say? 78 points in 69 games times 82. Yeah, that's 92-point pace. So, I mean, they're both great players. I think nobody's arguing that much.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing I'll say, Barkov is the best center on either team. Tkachuk gets to play with him. I don't even know who is Huberdeau going to play. Huberdeau is going to be the line driver now, where Tkachuk probably doesn't drive the line. I would say Barkov will drive the line. He might play with Lindholm or Monahan. There are plenty of things to do with Huberdeau, and maybe he could get Monahan going again. That would be nice. But both teams got to shake up after losing to their biggest rival. I mean, think about it. Calgary lost in the playoffs in the Battle of Alberta, and Florida lost in the Battle of Florida.
Yeah.
So, like...
Well, I mean, Florida needed a shakeup after that. After getting swept, after winning the President's Trophy, and you get swept. I don't care if it was by the defending champs. Something needs to change. And they made a lot of changes. They fired their coach, which I was stunned. And then
the Devils now.
and then they trade Huberdeau. So those two changes alone are just huge. Big shakeup.
I love that the Devils added Andrew Brunette as an assistant coach.
That's good, yeah.
I love that because if they freaking fire Lindy Ruff, that's your guy, I would say. And that's kind of what hiring a former coach as your assistant is. It's like he's the next coach in training, I guess. And Lindy Ruff has had a great career, been parts of Stanley Cup finals, deep runs with Dallas. So, we'll see what happens there. But, man, I like this trade. I was thinking about this trade, like, for days after it happened. Like, what's Tkachuk going to look like in Florida? And who's he going to play with? What's the power play going to look like with Aaron Ekblad? And, then I'm thinking about Huberdeau playing in Calgary. Like, Huberdeau and McDavid on the same ice, like, a lot. Those are two of the best assisters in the NHL. Were they 1 and 2 in assists? I mean, Draisaitl was up there in scoring, but he gets half of his points from goals. So, like, how many guys get 70 assists in a season? I don't think
Huberdeau
had 85 assists.
Yeah.
And McDavid had 79. They were 1 and 2. Third place in assists.
Do you want me to?
Johnny Gaudreau.
Hold on, I'm gonna look something up.
That's wild, honestly. That's funny. What are we looking up here? What do you want to?
Something with the player statistics for last season.
Oh, and really quick while you do that, to piggyback off the fact that Huberdeau gets to face off against McDavid a lot more now, the two best assisters in the NHL right now. The Tkachuk brothers are in the same division. Brady and Matthew will play each other a bunch of times now, as Ottawa and Florida are in the same division. So the battle of the Tkachuks, it's going to be one of the great things in the league.
So, yeah, Huberdeau did lead in assists last year with 85, obviously, because nobody was really getting 85. McDavid didn't even hit 80. He had 79. He was tied for second in points, though, with 115, which I'm pretty sure that's like the best for a left wing in NHL history, or one of the best ever. The only thing
Gaudreau is also a left wing who tied him in points.
Is he?
Yeah. Which they could be like the guys who did that, because I can't think of a left wing that did better, at least in recent times. I mean, think about it. Kane, right wing. Marner, right wing. Ovechkin, right wing. Hall was a left wing, but he had 93 points. That was his best.
Maybe they tied it then.
Yeah, I mean,
because I thought I read it somewhere.
I mean, Kirill Kaprizov had 108. He's a left wing. Tkachuk had 104. He's a left wing. Then all the rest of the left wings are under 100. Panarin, Kyle Connor, Ovechkin. Oh, Ovechkin's listed as a left wing now.
Yeah, he is a left wing. I just wrote an article on NHL predicting the left wing ratings for NHL 23. Let me tell you, it's a stacked list. There's a lot of talent at the left wing position. The thing that worries about me, though, I'm looking at these stats, is Huberdeau only had 30 goals.
Only.
If you look at the top 8, though, top 8 players, everybody was 40s or above. And he barely reached 30.
And you're saying in points?
No, 40 goals or above.
The
top 8 in points, yeah.
Okay.
40 or above.
But how many guys have 85 assists?
He was the only one. I know. He does most of his damage in the assist department.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it still leads to goals.
But
you kind of have to have more than 30 goals to reach 100 points. Because nobody gets 70 assists except McDavid and Huberdeau.
And Gaudreau. But Huberdeau had more weapons on the Panthers. Who's he going to feed it to on Calgary? I know there's tons of players he can, but I think the talent was a lot greater.
They're going to try and recreate.
That's what worries me.
They're going to try and recreate that top line with Lindholm, Tkachuk, and Gaudreau. And I would say Huberdeau replaces Gaudreau more as like the slick, offensive-minded, like assist man.
Mm-hmm.
They need to find. They're going to either promote someone or make another trade. Maybe they'll trade for Tarasenko. I don't know, but they're going to look for that goal-scoring winger to put with Huberdeau and Lindholm, and that's probably going to be their top line. It's probably going to be a really good top line. And maybe Mangiapane will score more than 35 if he plays on that top line. Maybe they trade for JT Miller. I don't know if the Vancouver and Calgary would ever make a trade with one another, but maybe they look at Patrick Kane. Maybe they no Philip Forsberg signed, Kevin Fiala signed. It's getting thin now, but there's always moves to be made. There's always moves to be made, and they could kind of like roll into the season. Maybe one of their top prospects that is up, ready to be called up to the NHL can make an impact in that way. There are so many ways that Calgary can get the most out of having Huberdeau on their top line. I'm so excited to see it. When McDavid and Huberdeau are on the ice at the same time, that's going to be like a hockey fan's dream.
Yeah.
So we have some other hockey to talk about here just besides this trade. We're going to keep it hockey all summer long here on Bar Down Talking Hockey. We don't go anywhere just because it's summer. That's just not how we roll. We'll get to that conversation, though, in period number 2. Welcome to period 2, where we will have our other hockey conversation, I guess, if you will. And the first person I wanted to bring up, what's up, Scocks? Welcome to the show. Phil Kessel is a free agent. Phil Kessel has been one of the best players in the NHL over the last, 15, 20 years. 2-time Stanley Cup champion with the Pittsburgh Penguins. A couple times where he had points in the 90s. A couple times where he had goals in the 40s. I think earlier in his career, Phil Kessel was more known as a pure goal scorer using his nasty wrister and snapper that he, kind of used to have. And then he kind of started like picking up a crap ton of assists in his days with the Pittsburgh Penguins. No one will ever forget the HBK line in Pittsburgh with Carl Hagelin, Nick Bonino, and Phil Kessel. That was one of the greatest third lines in NHL history because Malkin was the second line center with whatever 2 wingers he wanted. And then Crosby was the top line center with whatever 2 wingers he wanted. And then Hagelin, Bonino, Kessel, the Penguins had an Olympian on every line. And why not? It's no wonder why they won the Stanley Cup 2 times in a row there. I'm hoping Phil Kessel latches on with someone. Maybe it'll be the Pittsburgh Penguins. Maybe a team like the Blackhawks has him come in and eat some ice, and hopefully he can be a tradable asset by the time the trade deadline comes around. Maybe a real contender. Maybe McDavid tries to revive him a little bit. Maybe Calgary looks to play him with Huberdeau and get some more goals out of him. Like, there are plenty of options for Phil Kessel. My personal hope is that he goes back to the Pittsburgh Penguins.
So I did some digging because what I saw from Phil Kessel last year, just from watching him, it just seemed like he was regressing a little bit. He was a little more slow. Of course, as you get older, that kind of stuff happens. But actually, surprising to me, he's gotten better over the past couple of years. In 2019-2020, he had 38 points. In 2020-2021, he had 43 points. In this past season, he had 52 points. But his goal scoring has gone down. He only had 8 goals.
Don't forget COVID.
I know, but it doesn't appear like he's the same Phil he used to be.
No.
Not the Phil I watched. I know he's a UFA. I think there's a chance he may retire, to be honest with you. I think he may hang up the skates. We're getting deep into this offseason. Still nothing. Like, you're running out of time. The only thing that maybe would keep him from not retiring would be his Ironman streak that he wants to keep going, if he wants to keep that going. But his production is not the same Phil Kessel that it used to be. Teams could use him, like you said, to eat up time or even chip in an extra 40 to 50 points, maybe. But I don't know if teams are willing to sign him to that contract and give him that opportunity to do so. I don't know if they want to take the risk on him because you don't know. Like, you sign him to what, 1 or 2 years? You're not going to sign him to a long-term contract. Do they want to take that risk? I don't know. He just might hang up the skates.
I understand what you're saying, and you could be right. He very well could. He's from, the 2004 NHL draft, I believe, is when Phil Kessel was taken. But there are lots of guys that are still unsigned. And I'm talking Patrice Bergeron, Nazem Kadri, Paul Stastny, John Klingberg, PK Subban, Keith Yandel, and Braden Holtby. All those guys are going to play next year, especially Kadri. I mean, Kadri is amazing. But part of me thinks Phil Kessel, he's got to have a year or two left for me. Because, like you said, the Iron Man streak is so close. The Philadelphia Flyers really kind of boned Keith Yandel when it came to that. He broke it, but not by much. And they were almost going to not let him break it. And then, I don't know. I think Phil's going to play. Phil's got to play. It's not going to be with Arizona. Go back to the Leafs. I mean, a bad team can use him to sell tickets because he's still the legend, Phil Kessel. He's just shy of a Hall of Famer. I would say he's not a Hall of Famer, but he's just shy. I don't know. It's definitely interesting to think about what Phil Kessel might be able to do. 52 points is no joke on a
that's good.
Bad Arizona Coyotes team.
The assists were great. 44 assists, 8 goals, but I mean,
8 goals is not great. He needs to score more goals than that. I feel like Phil Kessel should accidentally be able to score more goals than that.
That 2020-2021 season, he had 20 goals, 23 assists. Now that's a little bit better. You want to even it out a little bit. Like if we would have saw that last year, I'd be like, okay, but when you're scoring 8 goals, I mean, why take the risk on Phil Kessel when he's up there in age and signing him to a 1-year contract when I could sign a rookie to a 1-year contract or a 3-year entry level, whatever it is, or somebody like that. And maybe there's potential there instead of trying to just have Phil eat up time. I could just sign somebody younger and see if they could develop with my team. I don't know.
It seems like the NHL, though, values guys who assist more than score. If you ask anybody who's a better player, Alexander Ovechkin or Sidney Crosby, anyone with a brain would take Crosby. Barely, but anybody with a brain would take Crosby, and Ovechkin might break Gretzky's goal record. I have my money on the fact that he does. And so who's Phil feeding it, or what goal scorers, or excuse me, I have that backwards. There were plenty of goal scorers on the Coyotes that Phil was able to find, but who's good enough to feed him? Who's good enough to find him on the Coyotes? Schmaltz is a really good player. I don't even think they played together.
I don't think so.
Coyotes are they're in trouble.
He doesn't go back to the Coyotes, though. That's a promise.
Yeah,
I'll make that statement right now in front of everybody. He's not going back to the Coyotes.
No, I would be stunned if he went back to the Coyotes. Any of the Canadian teams would be a fit. Hear me out on this. The Buffalo Sabres.
But why?
Because that's a team that's probably going to be okay.
They don't need him. They don't burn them.
They don't need him, but they're going to be okay to start next year, and he can help them win some games early and then trade him. The Buffalo Sabres are a team to look out for me. I've heard rumors of Pittsburgh. That's why I brought them up.
I just don't think you could get assets for him. What are you trading him for?
Well, it depends how he does. You're not trading him if he doesn't play well.
There's no way he does better than last year. There's no way.
Goals?
Points. There's no way he gets more points than last year. No shot whatsoever.
No, I don't think so either.
He's not going to break 50 points.
No.
So what are you trading him for?
I would probably,
let's say he gets 45 points, 40 points. What are you going to get for him?
You could get a 3rd or 4th round pick for that.
Is that worth it?
Yes. I would say yes. Teams value picks more than even I understand. They just do, because you can draft a guy who turns out to be the next Phil Kessel in the 4th round, right?
Yeah, I get that.
You know, teams will take draft picks on draft picks on draft picks for anything they can, get their hands on. I mean, look at the freaking Flames. They're like, yeah, we'll take that 2025 first round pick. We'll take that 16-year-old. The kid they're going to draft with that pick is 16 right now. But it's just, I don't know. Phil Kessel, to me, is probably one of the more interesting stories this offseason. I was reading about it on NHL.com. I actually have it pulled up right now. This a little article has a segment in it that says, while Phil Kessel's stats have dipped with the Arizona Coyotes the past 3 seasons, he had 52 points and 14 power play points in 82 games last season and is a proven scorer. The 34-year-old forward has 956 points in 1,204 regular season games for the Coyotes, Pittsburgh Penguins, Maple Leafs, and Boston Bruins, including 6 seasons with at least 30 goals and 12 with at least 20. A 2-time Cup winner with the Penguin in 2017. Kessel has 81 points in 96 postseason games. That could be a thing too. If a team like Buffalo signs him and they trade him, who's a young team that could make the playoffs? Detroit,
The Devils.
Ottawa, the Devils. What if they were like, hey, let's bring in a guy to play on our 4th line who has won the Cup twice and has 81 playoff points?
That I could see.
We'll give up a 6th round pick for him, or we'll give up a 4th.
Stuff like that happens all the time.
Exactly. I mean, freaking the Hawks traded for Kimmo Timonen.
But you got to get to that point. He has to play and get to that point in the year. Like he hasn't even made a step yet. What I'm saying is, does Phil Kessel even get to that point to where he is on a team where teams could trade him? Are teams thinking about that right now? Will anybody want him? Potentially for that veteran, for a playoff run of that veteran aspect to him, and that experience of having all that playoff experience under his belt. They might want that, but does he make the first step on going to a team, signing with the team?
He has to commit to the rigors of playing a full NHL season.
It's just like he has nothing left to prove. That's why I think retiring would just be fine for him.
Yes, I agree with that.
What was his contract last year?
He was finishing out. I believe he was finishing out the long-term deal he had in Pittsburgh that was traded.
Was how much?
Or no, it might have even been the contract with the Leafs.
Was it $2 million? For some reason, $2 million's ringing a bell, but that seems too low if he was on a longer-term contract.
Here, I'll pull up Phil Kessel on Cap Friendly, the greatest website in the world.
Not a sponsor.
Not a sponsor, but they can sponsor. They can sponsor anytime they want. No, his previous cap hit was $8 million.
Okay, yeah. Well, first of all, he would never get $8 million.
No, he probably won't get 3.
He'd probably get 2. And I don't see a world where he signs more than a 1-year deal. I'm trying to think logically, digging deep in my head. Would anybody even offer him a 2-year contract? I don't see it. In any situation, it would be a 1-year deal. And does Phil Kessel want to be on those 1-year deals? That's another thing he has to think too. It's got to be annoying.
Yeah, I mean, I would say he gets a 1-year deal at $2 million, and his contract that just ended was the one he signed with the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Okay.
At the end of the 2013-14 season, he signed an 8-year deal worth $8 million. He played 1 year with the Leafs, and then was traded in that big deal where Kasperi Kapanen in a first went to Toronto, and he went to Pittsburgh. He played there for 4 seasons. Then he played 3 seasons with the Arizona Coyotes. So the Toronto Maple Leafs effectively paid him $1.6 million to play for 2 other teams over that course of time. And I'm trying to see, normally Cap Friendly has a spot where they predict his next contract. I'm not really able to see it though, and it's not good radio to sit here and, look for stuff while talking, but it's not necessarily a player that is going to be just simply ignored for me because of his history and playoff stuff. I don't know. I hope he's back. I like Phil Kessel. I wouldn't be mad if he played on the Devils' 3rd line next season. Like if you put him on a line with Miles Wood and Dawson Mercer, and then you're able to bump up a Sharon Govich, Sharon Govich will probably play in the top 6 anyway. But I don't know. We're a pro Phil Kessel podcast. I think that much is clear because he's just been a fun player to have in the league with the hot dogs and the whole thing with Toronto media and mouthing off to people. I think the guy's hilarious, so I'm rooting for him. You heard me mention some of the other free agents that are out there. Patrice Bergeron, Nazem Kadri, Paul Stastny, John Klingberg, PK Subban, Keith Yandel, Braden Holtby. Who is probably besides Bergeron, because I feel like it's either Bruins or retire for him. Besides Bergeron, who's the most intriguing / best free agent left out there?
Kadri.
You think it's Kadri?
Mm-hmm. I do. I mean, obviously, you know what's a little surprising to me? I want to come back to Kadri. But Sonny Milano, isn't he still a free agent?
Yep.
I'm shocked that he hasn't re-signed with the Ducks.
Yeah, they let him go. They don't want him.
Oh, I didn't know that. Now I'm stunned. That's shocking. I thought he was just clicking with Zegras and that whole Anaheim Ducks franchise. That's a shock to me that he's not signed. I mean, I think he's a young stud. I think people should gobble him up. PK Subban, a little surprised he's not signed, being the vet he is. It's kind of almost like a Phil Kessel situation. Teams should just want him just based on the career he's had. I do think PK Subban has more potential right now than Phil Kessel would to a certain team. So that I'm just a little surprised on that. But I think Kadri is the most attractive free agent right now for any team. First of all, he's either going to go, in my opinion, to the Islanders or the Flames. But here's why I think the perfect move right now would be to go to the Calgary Flames. Well, one, now that you got Huberdeau, you got to build around him. You need that extra piece, and I think Kadri would be the perfect piece for that Calgary Flames lineup. You strengthen the lineup a little bit more. They want to get back to winning ways. Nazem Kadri does that by joining the Calgary Flames lineup. His agent, I don't know what kind of glue his agent got, if he was on Elmer's, some off-brand of glue, but there were reports that the agent was looking for $10 million, a $10 million average per year contract. Tkachuk didn't even get $10 million. So I don't know what kind of glue this man was smoking, because there is no world where Kadri would ever make $10 million a year. He's not worth it. He's not worth $10 million a year. I don't care. He's just not. But now that value should drop probably between $6 to $7 million. And if it is, Calgary, the Flames are going to jump on it because they'll have $9.3 million in cap space right now. That's just as it is right now. So if they could afford like a $6 to $7 million contract and still have a few million left over, and maybe they even offload somebody else. They could offload if they want to free up a little bit more. You don't want to be held up against the cap. He was sniffing paint, Scott says. Yeah, damn right he was sniffing paint. Sniffing glue, sniffing paint, ain't getting $10 million. Since the Flames could afford that now, you'd have Lindholm and Kadri. You'd have one of the deepest teams in the league at the center position. And that's what they want right now. They want to contend. They want to get back. They don't want to go through a rebuild. Pick up Kadri, and they'll be in good hands.
One thing I'll tell you, Tkachuk didn't get 10 because he signed with Florida. This is like a fact. He signed with Florida. Do you know anything about Florida?
I know it's in the United States.
Florida has no state income taxes. Every penny of that $9.5 million contract will end up in his bank account. Where if he signed with the Blackhawks or any of the Canadian teams or the Devils, not all of that money would end up in his bank account because the state would take some. That does not happen. There are like 10 teams that have no state income tax. The Coyotes, I want to say the Golden Knights, and players they are known to take discounts in no state income tax places where like the Toronto Maple Leafs had to get Tavares at 11.5 because at the end of the day, he's only going to make 9, but it still hits their cap at what their average annual value is, not what their average bank account is. Mm-hmm. So if Tkachuk went to the Devils, it would probably be a $10.5 million contract to make up for all the money that the New Jersey government would take from him. And so that's an unfair advantage, but it's an advantage. and it doesn't necessarily always help because, although the Lightning, they've won 2 of the last 3 cups, and they've been in 3 straight, they can pay Kucherov 9.5 instead of the 11 he's worth.
But there's just no way he was getting $10 million.
I think it depends on the team.
I don't care where he got the Kadri. No, I'm saying Kadri. You think Kadri would have gotten $10 million?
There are some teams that might have given it to him.
It's not worth it. It's just not worth it.
Yeah.
There's a reason nobody jumped on it.
It's not. Well, there are people out there. I saw this tweet actually yesterday that think he has a deal done, and the team that he has like a handshake agreement with is still gonna like make a move to like get under the cap so they can afford him. I personally think it's the Islanders because he had a relationship with Lou Lamoriello in Toronto, and Lou already let him go once because he kept getting suspended in the playoffs, and now he's going to try and get him back after seeing what he did this year. It's kind of weird, but what would be great hockey theater is if what team did Bozak end up being traded out of St. Louis, or is he still there?
I think he's still there.
Yeah, if Tyler Bozak stayed in St. Louis and both Kadri and Kessel signed there, and that was the top line for the Maple Leafs when like Game 7 against the Bruins that they choked. That was like their go-to scoring line. Those were like their 3 best forwards, and those 3 in JVR. But JVR didn't play with them. It was Kadri, Bozak, and Kessel, and it's just wow. That would be really funny.
Klingberg isn't signed either.
Well, so Klingberg was going to be the guy that I put right there with Kadri as the most coveted free agent left still out there, because I think you can make a case that Klingberg's number 1. I wouldn't. I would rather Kadri. Well, I would rather Klingberg for the Devils, but as an overall player, I would rather Kadri. But Klingberg is so sweet. I mean, an offensive puck defenseman like that, he's going to get a lot of money. And there's a report he fired his agent today and hired a new one. So you might see his deal come through relatively soon. But yeah, that's just a lot of good free agents out there. I'm not sure the market for Holtby, just because he's a goalie and every team's kind of solidifying their goalie. He'll sign. There'll be a team that needs a third stringer or something like that. But the free agents are they're fully out there. So got anything left on the free agents? Something you want to add, Bergeron?
Well, I said this last week. I thought we'd see more free agent signings this week by this show. So I'll say it again. I think by our next show, we will have a little more insight of some of the names we mentioned today.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a nice prediction. I actually kind of hope that happens.
Even if it's not official, they'll be like, yeah, it's very heavily reported that this person's going here. I think by next Wednesday, we'll be able to talk about it a little more, and we'll see where everybody made their moves. It's just my prediction.
Yeah. Earlier this week, and I want to get this author on our show. I think that's something that we could actually have happen. But The Athletic released their top 50 NHL prospects under the age of 23 years old. And I don't have my Athletic thing working right now. I'm not able to pull it up completely. Wait, actually, I might be. Yeah, I do have it. Okay, there we go. Number 1 was Owen Power.
Wow.
Number 2 was Luke Hughes. Number 3 is Shane Wright. Number 4 is Simone Nemec, who the Devils took at 4. 5 is Logan Cooley. 6 is Matt Beniers. 7 is Kent Johnson. 8 is Cole Perfetti. 9 is Matt Savoie. 10 is Uri Slavkovsky. 11 is Jake Sanderson. So it just goes down the list. I'm looking for... I know that there's not a single Boston Bruins player in the top 50, and the Bruins probably are considered to be the worst farm system in the NHL now. Alexander Holtz from the Devils at 17. I'm looking to see where the first Blackhawks prospect is, because their farm isn't great either. It's better than the Bruins, but it's
They gotta have
probably
somebody in the top 50.
either Kaczynski's probably going to be on here somewhere. Did I say his name right?
I think it's Krasinski. Isn't there an R in there? Krasinski.
Yeah, Frank Nazar is right here at 26.
Dude, Frank Nazar, I love that man.
They put him ahead of Kaczynski, or did I miss him?
I think Frank Nazar.
Oh,
Frank Nazar is
Kaczynski's 30.
Yeah,
Yep.
I think Frank Nazar is going to be an absolute stud.
So do I.
I think he'll be better than Krasinski. There is an R in that, right? Or is it Kaczynski?
Yeah, it's Korchinski.
Korchinski.
I'm looking to see if there are any other Blackhawks so we can have a little conversation. Ooh, Jack Quinn at number 36. I like the Sabres prospects. The Sabres have good prospects. They're going to be a good team. Yeah, exactly.
I'm shocked.
Peyton Krebs is 40. Well, dude, those Michigan boys, Luke Hughes and Owen Power were sick for Michigan last year.
Mm-hmm.
And Ben Years was a forward, and Kent Johnson was a forward. Oh, Lucas Reichel, number 41.
I like Reichel. I like what I saw out of Reichel.
I like what I saw out of him. He wasn't productive, like statistically, but that's not always what matters. It's like saying, exactly. And that's our conversation about Huberdeau and Tkachuk. Tkachuk's a better player. He had 11 less points.
Mm-hmm.
Bobby Brink from the Flyers, Bobby Orbrink. A lot of Canadians on here, Montreal.
Nobody from the Bees, huh?
Not a single player from the Boston Bruins. Yeah, a lot of Dallas Stars too, I've noticed. But Owen Power sitting there at number 1. I'm very happy about Luke Hughes being number 2. Shane Wright at 3. It kind of worries me a little bit, but having Nemec at number 4 right after him makes me feel a little better because he has Uri Slafkovsky at 10. I don't agree with that. I would rank Slafkovsky in between Wright and Nemec personally. For me to say that means something because I would love to just put all the Devils at the top. But Shane Wright must have a shit ass attitude.
I don't know. He's sometimes the look he's got on his face kind of rubs me the wrong way. But
I think it rubbed 4 NHL teams the wrong way.
But I don't know. I think he's going to be a stud.
Oh, so do I. I mean, here's what I'll say.
I'm surprised he fell to 4.
Me too. Here's what I'll say. I hope Uri Slafkovsky, Simone Nemec, and Logan Cooley all turn out to also be great players because they will live a life of extremely annoyance if they're not as good or if they're not good players. They don't have to be as good at Shane Wright to avoid this. Okay, Cale Makar went 4th, right? He's the best player from his draft, and it's not close. But nobody really shits on the Devils because Nico Hischier is awesome. Nobody really shits on the Dallas Stars because Miro Heiskanen is awesome. The Flyers took Nolan Patrick.
That's bad.
He's not even in the league.
We were there.
And at least the Devils and Stars got a franchise level player. They didn't get Makar. Every team would like to go back and take Makar of the top 3. And frickin' at least 2 of them got Devils got their captain, right? Hischier's their captain, probably second best forward. He has an all-star appearance. He was in the all-star game 2019. Mm-hmm. Helped Taylor Hall win the Hart Trophy. Hischier's already somewhat accomplished. Heiskanen, when Klingberg dips out of Dallas, Heiskanen's their new number 1, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's probably their second best overall player behind Robertson. He's a very, very good defenseman. The Flyers traded freaking Nolan Patrick for a 3rd-round pick to the Predators, who then flipped him to Vegas, and he was health bombed half the season.
It's rough. It's rough for sure.
So that I don't want to see that happen to Cooley, Nemec, or
I don't think it'll happen. I think they're all going to be very good players.
I sure hope so. I'm
pretty confident.
But are you surprised to see Power and Hughes ranked ahead of Wright here?
Yeah, I am. A lot, actually. I don't know. I think Wright. I think people are undervaluing this guy. I think he's been getting a lot of shit, I feel like.
Apparently he's a dick. And bad teammate. He needs to get his attitude straightened out. That's what I've heard. And teams value that. The character matters, I guess, right?
Well, yeah, I wouldn't want a dick on my team.
Yeah, even if they're elite though, like it's a very, very like interesting, intriguing conversation because there are people who are like, I don't give a fuck if he can play. Like, I don't care if he's an asshole. Okay, well, now he's the Kraken's problem. And the Kraken, man, they're going to be fun this year. I don't know if they're going to be playoff good, but they're going to be fun. I love the addition of Oliver Bjorkstrand that they made last week because the freaking Blue Jackets had to trade that great player because they needed to get Goudreau under the cap.
Mm-hmm.
But the Kraken are going to be pretty good. They signed McCann. They
They'll be
signed
better than they were last
Donato.
year. They're not going to make the playoffs.
Oh yeah, I agree. They might be one of those surprise teams though from the Pacific.
They could.
You think there's no chance?
No, I'm not saying there's no chance, but I'd say the chance is probably like 20%, 25 maybe.
Okay. Well, I think we can all agree that the top 5 prospects listed are the top 5 prospects in the NHL. We can argue about the order. Luke Hughes was better at Michigan than Owen Power, but when Owen Power got to the NHL, Buffalo won like a bunch of games in a row, and he was a big part of it. Buffalo had a really strong end to the season, and he was a big part of it. Luke Hughes, he's going to go to Michigan for another year. He'll probably play 10 games plus the playoffs with the Devils after Michigan gets eliminated next year. But, yeah, I like seeing Nemec in the top 5 too. And then, of course, you got a couple of your Hawks there. I think, did I say 3 Hawks?
Mm-hmm. Well, you only mentioned 2.
Reichel, Korchinski,
and
Reichel.
I forgot about Reichel, yeah.
Yeah, and like I was going to say about Reichel, he didn't have like the points, but it goes back to our Tkachuk and Huberdeau conversation. Points aren't necessarily everything. It's how do they look.
The way he moved out there, though.
He looked like he fit in, right?
It was like everything he did was smooth, or like a great play for a breakaway for Reichel. It's just like one play led to another, and even if he didn't score, it's just the way he was getting back into the defensive zone and tailing into the offense. It just looked great. And that's what I've seen from Nazar in training camp. I just love the way Nazar is out there on the ice, and that's why I think he's just going to be an absolute stud.
Yeah. The only thing I'm hoping for Reichel is that he doesn't become like Andreas Athanasiou. Andreas Athanasiou is a pretty good player. He's been relatively productive. I think he had 29 goals one year. Like he's been a pretty good player. But I've always felt like there could be more from him because of his speed. Like I honestly thought there was going to come a time where he was like a top 20 player. And it just never really happened. Michael Grabner also comes to mind too. And, you know, just super fast, but like brick hands, right? Miles Wood is a great example. Miles Wood's very fast, very physical, looks great out there. And then when the puck's on his stick on a breakaway, he shoots it right into the goalie's chest. Like we don't want Reichel to become that, but I agree with Scott. Reichel's play last season, points will come. It's only a matter of time. He fit in well. And the nice thing about him, he fit in well on the third line, and he fit in well playing with P. Kane.
Yep.
So I enjoyed what I saw from him, and it's good to see him getting the recognition that he deserved in this Athletic article. Everybody should go check it out, the top 50 prospects in the NHL. I'm hoping to have the author of this article on the show. I reached out to him. I'm still waiting for a response. So the San Jose Sharks hired David Quinn. Any reaction to that real quick?
Well, the Sharks started out hot last season.
Yep.
Remember, we talked about it. Me, you, and Joey said, wow, all the California teams are in a playoff spot. And then all of a sudden, down the tube they went. And Quinn brings a lot of experience to this team. I don't think he's a bad coach. I think that they will be more competitive this year, but they're not going to get 100 points. But I think they'll be more competitive. But I don't see him like excelling and being like coach of the year or something like that. You know what I mean? But I do think they'll be maybe a bubble team. Maybe.
When David Quinn was the head coach of BU, I loved him. Right? I thought he was the best coach in college hockey. BU was fun to watch. Jack Eichel was amazing. He really helped Eichel become one of the best players in the NHL. You know how big of a fan of Eichel I am.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm thinking about getting a number 9 Vegas jersey too. I think that's going to be my first ever Vegas jersey. We'll see what the reverse retros look like, but I might just go with the plain gray one, or a white one would be really cool too, because nobody ever buys a white jersey. And I loved David Quinn at BU, and then he got hired by the Rangers, right? And I was like, fuck. A guy that I really like is the head coach of the New York Rangers. And then Ranger fans despise this guy within 6 months of his tenure. Capo Caco didn't develop. Lafreniere wasn't there. He just wasn't getting it done for the Rangers. And they had a lot of problems with the way he handled young people. And I guess you could look at it, it's good and bad. They didn't win a lot of games. The roster wasn't there. He was kind of there in the transition year. Well, that's exactly what he's going to in San Jose, right? Like they just traded Brent Burns, one of the greatest players in San Jose Sharks franchise history. He won the Norris Trophy, all-time great offensive defenseman. And now they still have Erik Karlsson and Thomas Hertl and Logan Couture, and their goaltending's not that great. I just have a bad feeling about the Sharks, and I have a bad feeling this wasn't a great career move for David Quinn. Now, there's 32 of these jobs in the world, right? Like who's going to turn away $3 million to coach an NHL team? I get it. But I just hope this doesn't make David Quinn look worse than he actually is because of the Sharks' old, beaten-up roster that is wildly in need of a complete rebuild. I mean, the Sharks, the only team I might be more annoyed with than the Blackhawks right now, besides the Coyotes, is the Sharks. Because, why aren't you rebuilding? I just don't get it. Trade Couture. Okay? Trade Tomas Hertl. Why is Timo Meier not gone? What is Erik Karlsson doing there? He's going to be hard to trade because he makes 8 or 10 sheets and he's not a $11 million player anymore. It's the same thing. The Blackhawks are now finally starting to do it, and I like what I'm seeing. The Sharks need to do that soon. They're going nowhere. And if they're a bubble team, I think that's even worse for them.
I think there are going to be. I have a weird feeling they're going to be semi-competitive.
They might be semi-competitive because they're the Sharks, but what does that get you? Another 15th overall pick? And then what? Bedard is in the... Do people not know Bedard? And then Michkov and Fantilli would each be number 1 in this previous draft. They're both better than Wright, people say.
I read something today based on... I don't know what it was. It was based on not projections, but it had to be based off projections because there's no way else to go about this. But the Hawks had the best chance of getting the first overall pick next year in the draft.
I saw that too.
But it has to be.
You probably saw the tweet from Blackhawk Up, fan-sided.
Yeah, it probably was. But they didn't say it was going off predictions. They used something else, but that's all they could use is really predictions.
I'll find the tweet and say exactly what they said. I know the tweet. Blackhawk Up tweeted it. It's fan-sided's Blackhawk page. It's probably just because it's according to Tankathon. Oh, Tankathon is a great draft website. It's a great draft website. I've been on Tankathon.
They have the best chances of first overall pick.
Now that will change as the season goes along. If they are a little bit better in the standings than, let's say, Philly, then Philly will have the best chance. It'll adjust. As of right now, Tankathon is predicting the Blackhawks to be the worst team in the league.
But isn't that crazy? They could get Bedard.
If Connor Bedard comes to the Blackhawks, I will buy his jersey before he plays a game.
That'd be huge for them.
Oh, yeah. See, and here's the thing, Frank. I truly believe this in the bottom of my heart. You can trade Patrick Kane and get a shit ton for him and then bring him back.
Nobody will give him up. No one will give him back, though.
He's a free agent at the end of the year. Go play 50 games with the Rangers or the Oilers. Score 80 points with them. Have a chance at the Stanley Cup. And then you come back. It's possible. It's happened 1,000 times in sports history. It's happened so many times. And Kane wants to be the Blackhawks' all-time leading scorer. He doesn't need that many points in order to pass Stan Mikita. He could break Bobby Hall's goal record. He could be the greatest Blackhawk who ever lived. He already is in my brain. I would take Patrick Kane's career over Bobby Hall and Stan Mikita's career 10 days out of 10. That's just my personal opinion. I know how great Hall and Mikita were, but it was a little easier to score back then than it is today. And, the game is just a lot different, a lot harder. Every single opponent is elite now. It wasn't like that back in the day. I'm sorry. I love Bobby Hall. I love Stan Mikita. May God rest his soul. But Patrick Kane is so good. They can probably look at what they got for Matthew Tkachuk. They probably wouldn't want a Huberdeau, but they would take a Uyghur and 2 firsts.
Yeah.
What they could get for Patrick Kane is just.
I still don't see it. I still don't see it.
Maybe not before the season. They're going to trade him. He will not end the season as a Blackhawk.
I don't know.
Unless he has a contract extension in place. Then I wouldn't hate it. Because I think Patrick Kane is that good. Where he can kind of be there through a retool. Kind of like Jose Abreu. He was there through the White Sox rebuild, right? It's possible for that to happen. I just, for the life of me, wouldn't understand why you wouldn't want the best chance. This draft that's upcoming is sick. There are 40-ish prospects that would be first rounders in most years. That's getting first round talent in the first half of the second round. And then second round talent bleeding into the third round. I mean, this draft is supposed to, and everything is projection. They could all suck. But I think 2015 is the last time a draft had this much hype going into it. And that 2015 draft has lived up to the hype in every way.
Yeah.
Every single way. That's the McDavid Eichel draft. Strome went third, who's a pretty good player. Fourth was Marner, 100-point guy. Fifth was Hannafin, one of Calgary's best defensemen. Sixth, the Devils took Zacha. Seventh, the Flyers took Provorov, who's a really good defenseman. The Devils were the biggest loser in that whole draft. But I believe they got Bratt in the 6th round. No, that was the next year. The Devils got a good player in that draft. I can't remember who, though. And it wasn't Zacha, because Zacha sucks, and they traded him for Eric Holla. But this upcoming draft is so sweet. And here's the thing. You get rid of Patrick Kane, you increase your chances at Bedard. That no one will argue with me on. You going to give me that?
No, but I think they could get Bedard without doing that. I mean, they already are projected to be the worst team with Kane.
No, I know. And
that's the thing.
You think about the rest of their roster.
Imagine if you have Bedard and Kane, dude.
Yeah, well, but he's a free agent. Then you run the risk of him leaving. And no matter what players say, no matter what agents say, no matter what teams say, things change. They lie. They give people what they want to hear. What if Patrick Kane had 100 points and the Hawks were that bad and he still had 100 points? What wouldn't be in his heart to be like, you know what? Screw this. I'll go play for Calgary, or I'll go play for Nash Vegas or Vegas. No, Vegas can't afford him. But what if the Kings offered him a $10 million contract? He's not getting 10 mil with anyone else. 10 mil for 3 years, Kaner. Come win a cup in LA. We're ready to start winning. We got Byfield, Turcotte. Who's the other guy? Kayev. They just brought in Fiala. Got pretty good goaltending. Doughty had a bounce back year last year. Kopitar's still here. Oh, are we going to talk about Dustin Brown?
Do you hear about the statue?
I love. We could talk about the Blackhawks later now. That's my cap on the Blackhawks. Good, starting to put on some good prospects. They would only have one top 50 prospect according to The Athletic if they didn't trade into the first round without getting rid of DeBrincat or Doc. They have zero. They have one top 50 prospect, and he's in the 40s.
Now they have 3.
The rebuild has begun. Do it right. Do it right. End of it for me. Dustin Brown's the worst player in NHL history to get a statue, right?
Yeah, probably. But is he getting a statue because he's like that guy?
What do you mean?
Like how people get into the Hall of Fame as a builder. Like, is Dustin Brown getting it because like he is synonymous with the LA Kings organization? Like when they won the cup in 2012 and 2014, like you thought of Dustin Brown, like he was a big part of that. Like, is that the reason? Like he's that guy. Like we could look up to Dustin Brown for finally bringing a championship to LA with Kopitar and Doughty, and it just seems like it's that thing. Because I mean, there were times back in 2012 and 2014 they were comparing him to Taves. And you think there's a chance Taves gets a statue?
I never in a million years would insult Taves like that.
But I've heard it.
Brown was a winger. He never had more than like 60 points. Do you know who has statue? Do you know how
captain aspect? Maybe they meant as like a captain then, that leadership. Are they giving him a statue because he was a great leader for the Kings? Like kind of like that builder, like that leader for the Kings? I don't know.
Not what statues are supposed to be for.
Oh, I know.
Statues are supposed to be for like those guys.
And I love Dustin Brown. I have a Dustin Brown Kings jersey.
I know you do, Frank. I love Dustin Brown in spite of him being the only the captain to beat the Devils in the final.
So now I have
an American captain ever to win the cup.
I have a jersey of a statue player.
Yes, you do.
I might have a lot of jerseys of a statue.
Yeah, with some of those Hawks ones, but number retired, great. They retire lots of guys' numbers. You want to retire his number, honor him, do the one last skate type of thing, fine. That's fine. Retire number 23.
I'm a little shocked at the whole statue. Absolutely.
Shaquille O'Neal, Kobe Bryant, and Wayne Gretzky. I think Wayne Gretzky have statues outside of Staples Center. You're putting Dustin Brown with them? You're gonna put a Dustin Brown statue next to Kobe Bryant?
I'm telling you, it's got to be the whole like leadership statue. It has to be.
Are they gonna put a Michael Frolik statue at the United Center? Frolik was better than Brown for a lot of it.
I don't know what to tell you, champ.
Are they gonna put a Doughty and Kopitar statue? They fucking better. They fucking better now.
I don't think so. I think this is it.
But Dustin Brown is like the 13th.
You can't just start giving out statues.
That's why Brown shouldn't be getting
it. That's why Kopitar is not going to get one now, and
that's why Brown shouldn't be either. They stripped the captaincy from him. What statue's going up? The one with the C or the A or nothing?
Probably the C. The statue, I guarantee you the thought in their heads is that we're giving him a statue from his leadership from when they won the cup in 2012 and 2014 when he was the captain. They're going to give it to him. That they will have a C on his chest.
That's got to be the only logic. I understand what you're saying.
I don't agree with it. Don't get me wrong. I don't agree with it. I'm just telling you what I think their mindset is. He'll have a C on the statue. If he doesn't, then I have no idea what they're thinking. If they have the audacity to put a statue there and don't have the captaincy patch on it, that is just talk about glue.
They literally one day looked him in the face and said, Dustin, you are no longer our captain. We are stripping you of the C and putting it on Kopitar's jersey. Now they're building him a statue. I'm trying to think of like a Chicago comparable of like a guy who was a pretty good player that like will get a statue. Like,
what are you talking about? Any Chicago player?
Any Chicago player.
Who's comparable to him?
Yeah. Rizzo?
No, I think Rizzo's better than him. Rizzo's pretty damn good. He's better than Dustin Brown, if you compare this.
Yeah, I would probably agree with that.
I was thinking like a Jason Hayward. Or
that's a great one.
That's what I was thinking.
Like that is spot. He gave a speech, the rain delay. The Indians probably would have won had Jason Hayward not sat us all down and said, hey, this is still our game. And now we're going to build him.
It's a pretty good comparison.
We're going to build him and his 200 batting average a statue.
Yeah.
Are you shitting me?
That won't happen, though. So
I don't even think Bryant, Rizzo, any of them are going to get statues. Rizzo might. The only thing those guys have going for them is the fact that the Cubs went 108 goddamn years without winning the World Series.
I think
they were like, they ended it, right? Like they're legends because of that. If the Cubs had won the World Series in like 1982, and then Rizzo, Bryant, Baez, they win the World Series with the Cubs in 2016, they would be loved. They would be so loved.
Oh, yeah.
I'll tell you right now, let's say the White Sox pull the Braves, right? And they own the second half and run through the playoffs and win the World Series. Jose Abreu, Tim Anderson, Luis Robert, they're all great White Sox players, right? But they will never have the impact culturally as a Frank Thomas, Paul Konerko, AJ Pierzynski. That just will not happen. Skylar says they won't get statues because ownership sucks and none of them are Cubs anymore.
Well, I don't agree with because they're not Cubs, they won't get a statue. If Patrick Kane got traded, he'd still get a statue probably for the Hawks.
I think Taves and Kane are going to get a statue.
Regardless of if they got traded, I think
even though Keith overall was better than Taves, but he didn't have the impact that Taves had.
But Keith's number will be retired.
I think they'll retire. The Hawks are going to have a span there where they retire like 3 or 4 numbers.
Yeah.
I would retire Crawford's number, personally. He'd be number 4 in line. Yalmerson, you honor. Oduya, you honor. Sharp, you honor. I probably don't retire any of those numbers. Seabrook is on the fence for me. The only reason I wouldn't retire Seabrook is because they didn't retire Chelios, who wore the same number. You have to co-retire them if they do that. Kind of like the Yankees with Jackie Robinson and Mariano Rivera.
Mm-hmm.
But Rizzo actually would be the most deserving. He was the longest and showed leadership the earliest.
I agree.
And he was probably consistently the best too. Like Baez's best year was better than Rizzo's best year. Bryant's best year was better than Rizzo's best year. But whose best 5 are you taking? Rizzo's. That's kind of how I see it, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm trying to think of some good comparables. Go to the White Sox back when they were really good in 2005. Paul Konerko was better than Jermaine Dye over a span of like 5 years. Jermaine Dye's one best season, 2006, was probably one of the greatest in White Sox history, only behind Frank Thomas. But Paul's career was probably a little better. So, it's the same thing. Patrick Sharp is another good example. Patrick Sharp, his best season, goals-wise, I would venture to guess is better than Taves. I don't think Taves ever had like a 35-goal season. Sharp certainly did.
I don't know. I can check if you want.
I thought of a number that might get retired. Hossa. They'll retire Hossa's number. They have to. You can argue he was better than Taves at points.
It's tough. You would think.
Hossa's number gets retired. When you have a dynasty, a couple numbers are going to get retired. That's just the way it is.
Yeah, I don't know.
But then eventually, like, when do you stop? Eventually,
you got to not retire any more numbers.
Eventually, they're going to unretire everyone's number and still leave the plaques. They have to. They might leave a couple, like 42 in baseball, not going anywhere. 99 in hockey, not going anywhere. But, like, the Yankees don't have a single digit available.
No, right.
1 through 9 are taken. So, but Dustin Brown getting a statue. I just can't freaking believe a guy who's not going to the Hall of Fame has a statue. I mean, I guess there are plenty of guys who aren't in the Hall of Fame with statues. The White Sox are a bad example. They have like 10 statues inside their building. The White Sox are ridiculous with statues. And, I'll shit on my team at that point. There are a couple guys there that have statues that just don't deserve one. The only 3 that should have one are Frank Thomas, Paul Konerko, and Minnie Minoso. But I guess until this last week, Konerko and Minoso weren't in the Hall of Fame. Now Minoso is. Paulie hit the home run in the World Series, and that's what the statue's recreating. Rizzo's not going to the Hall of Fame, and if they gave him a statue, I probably wouldn't be surprised. But so I guess Hall of Fame doesn't matter, but I think status matters. Brown wasn't even like the 5th best player on their team when they won the cups. He was the captain.
He's getting a statue based on leadership. It has
to be. It's got to be. And they won their first cup with him as the captain.
Exactly.
Like Gretzky didn't win a cup with the Kings. Freaking Dustin Brown did, though.
That's what it has to be, because that was their first one in franchise history.
Yes.
So I think that was a big deal to them. And then when you think back to 2012 when they did that, you think, who was the captain? Dustin Brown. He led us the way to our first ever success in franchise history. So that has to be what it is. But that's not what statues are for.
It's got to be. They'll retire his number too, right? Like,
well, if he's getting a statue, they're retiring his number, right?
Yeah. Well, who was better on the Kings? Who was more important to their success than Dustin Brown?
Kopitar.
Brown did lead the 2012 playoffs in scoring.
Kopitar was pretty electric.
Kopitar.
Doughty, of course. Doughty had Norris years.
I would say Doughty's their best player in that run.
Yeah,
more than Kopitar.
It could be.
More than Brown. I'm being dead serious.
Yeah. No,
Jonathan Quick.
Quick, too. That whole team was like legendary.
They had a number 2 defenseman for each of their 2 cups. In the first cup, it was Voinov.
Slava Voinov, yeah.
And then in the second run, it was Muzzin.
Don't forget, you know who else was really good on that team, too? Martinez.
Oh, Martinez. Yep, absolutely. He was probably like their number 3 in the second cup. The That 70s line. Remember the That 70s line?
Oh, yeah.
Jeff Carter with Tyler Toffoli and was it Kyle Clifford? Was it the 3 of them?
Oh, no. It was wasn't it Pearson?
Tanner Pearson. You are correct.
Tanner
Pearson, Carter, and Toffoli, the That 70s line. Weren't they like 70, 71, and 73 or something like that?
Somebody was 77.
Carter was 77. You're right. Carter was 77.
Those were my Kings, man. I love the Kings.
Those Kings teams were awesome.
I love the Kings. That's why I got a jersey.
So sweet. They were so sweet. And they traded for Mike Richards.
And I like Tanner Pearson a lot, too.
Yeah. I remember when they traded for Mike Richards, it was like, all right, the Kings are loading up. They might make the playoffs.
Yeah.
And then they did and won the damn cup.
Yeah.
So, I guess I get it. The Kings really hurt me in 2012 when they beat the Devils in the final, and then they redeemed themselves by beating the Rangers 2 years later.
Yeah.
So that's kind of that whole thing. Taves is very upset at the rebuild. He's kind of being a crotchety old man. Is he ruining his captain legacy or diminishing it?
I don't think so. I mean, who isn't upset at the rebuild? I am. I would be in the same predicament. I mean, you look at like he's done throughout his career, right? No one's left on the team. Everybody's left. I mean, how could you not just be upset? If I was in Taves' shoes, I'd be the same way. I'd be like, dude, it's kind of like the phrase, you don't know what you have until you don't have it anymore. And that's exactly what he even alluded to that. He mentioned saying, you don't know how good you had it back then until like stuff isn't happening now. And you're going through these depressing times and these non-fun times in this era. It's just, I mean, the way he's going about it, maybe you just don't be like, yeah, I'm a little upset about it, but you don't say that and you kind of just keep some of it in a little bit. Like you don't see Kane saying any of that. Kane's like, yeah, I want to be here and help the guys or whatever.
That's kind of what I'm.
But it's like, it's got to be annoying. Like I agree with him. Like he's not getting any younger. He misses that success. He said how much it was electric playing in front of the Chicago fans on every night. The Madhouse on Madison was electric, bumping the roof off the place of the United Center. And now you're in these times where you just can't even win and not even get back to the postseason. So I get his pain. Sometimes you just don't say those things though.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. I'm sure he misses like, boom, 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 let's go hard. And people were just going freaking banana lands. They played Come On by Tiesto when they were going on the power play. And all the girls would like stand up and start dancing. Oh, the Hawks are going on the power play. Kane's going to make a nice little saucy pass to Patrick Sharp, and he's going to have a chance to snipe one. And when someone on the Minnesota Wild gets on a breakaway, big save by Crawford. Like, those days were so sweet. Okay? Everybody recognizes that. But if you're Taves, you can acknowledge that and, like, say that it's disappointing to not, be in those days anymore. Of course it is. No shit. But when you basically sound like a crotchety old man, how do you think that makes the younger players that are coming up to try and make the Blackhawks feel? Like, oh, Taves doesn't actually want me here. He misses Mary and Hossa. Taves doesn't want to be on my team anymore. He wants to go play for a winning team while we're trying to develop. I just don't think it comes off as like captain material to publicly complain about what the team is doing. Where like Kane's like, I want to be here. I want to be the all-time greatest Blackhawk. I want to see this rebuild through. I want to get back to what we once were. I don't know. There's just been, and I love Taves. Some guys aren't. Taves has every right to be like, you know what? Trade me. I want to go play somewhere else. I don't want to be part of the rebuild. I'm annoyed. That's fine. But it's going to diminish your captain legacy at least a little bit in present time. Nobody's ever going to forget how good of a captain he was when the Hawks were good. I still think they don't win that Detroit series if he doesn't go into that penalty box and calm Seabrook down. Then he goes out there and makes a sick block on the kill. Seabrook comes out of the box. They end up winning that game. And then the next two to make the 3-1 comeback. That doesn't happen without Taves' leadership. Not even his play, his leadership. And they upset. I guess it wasn't really an upset. It was an upset that when they were down 3-1, they were probably dogs to come back and win. And they did. And that's just, I don't know. I hope Taves finds happiness in his hockey future.
Well, we'll see. I also think like some of the things he says, the media kind of blows up a little bit more than it should be.
That's fair. You probably read the same article as me. The article made him appear like he was going to be an a-hole.
Yeah, and I think the media does that on purpose. Like, you could twist anything that he's saying. Like, yeah, he says he's upset about it, but he didn't say, like, he didn't use the words like, trade me now, I need to get out of here. It's just like, that's what just people are trying to blow up his words and putting words in his mouth, too. So I don't always take what these reporters are saying. I want to hear it from the source. And until I hear those words from Taves himself, I mean, yeah, he has every right to be upset at the rebuild. Like I said, I'm upset at the rebuild. I'm not happy about it. But that doesn't mean, like, I'm not going to be a Blackhawks fan. So that shouldn't mean, like, Taves wants to leave Chicago and not be associated with the Hawks. I mean, I want to hear it from the source itself.
Do you think people are soured on Taves because of how he reacted to the Kyle Beach thing?
Not really. I don't know. I don't think so.
I just wonder if there's a bias against him now because the words he said after everything came out and the report came out, like with all the pages and whatnot, what he said wasn't wrong. It just felt tone deaf, like backing up Stan Bowman, and like it just didn't sound good. Like it didn't come off.
I don't think people are holding that against him.
I hope not, because Taves is a good dude. He's just clearly frustrated, and he sucked last year, and the year before he missed the whole year. So I hope Taves comes out and has a good year, and the Hawks do one of two things. They keep around the captain for a while to help see the rebuild through, or they trade him where we can watch him in the playoffs again. I think one of those two things will happen, or he'll retire. And if he retires, I think he joins the Hawks long term. And then if he joins the Hawks long term, you'll see his entire attitude about the rebuild change. Because then he'll start thinking about things critically and not from a player's point of view. He'll start thinking about it from a business point of view. And then he'll be like, okay, we actually are putting together this thing the right way. And so I think
we'll see.
The future is interesting for Taves.
We shall see. I'm interested.
Me too. You want to have some fun?
Sure. Well, I've been having fun.
I'm always having fun.
So
this is a good episode for sure. We had some good few people in the world. What'd you say?
Juicy talk.
Juicy talk. Few people in the world can have this juicy talk about a sport that hasn't played a game in over a month.
Yeah.
and is in the middle. It's like I would say we're in the middle of the off season. We're probably dead center of the off season, and you know that's what we do here. So we're gonna have some interesting conversation, hockey related, maybe not really, in period number 3. Welcome to period 3. Nice.
Huh?
Nice. What a nice episode. Episode number 69 of Bar Down Talking Hockey. Earlier this weekend, I went to a very cool place. And I kind of view this place like I view Door County now. You've heard us talk about Door County a time or two or three on this show. Door County is in Wisconsin. It's very northern Wisconsin. And I went to the Wisconsin Dells. And I've only been there twice. This was my first time in the summer. And I really enjoyed it. I was at a place called Christmas Mountain. And it's a ski resort in the winter and a golf/luxury resort in the summer, I think, is how I would define it. There's a golf course on the property and some surrounding areas. I did golf. I didn't ski when I went in the winter. I don't know if those days are behind me or not. But yeah, golfed, nice weather, storm on Friday. Or on Saturday, storm on Saturday.
I got a question to ask you, but keep going. I don't want to interrupt you.
No, and
Christmas Mountain.
It's just a nice place to go, and I had a really good time, and I wanted to give a shout out to all the people I was with, Katie, her parents. It was just a lot of fun, and I love Christmas Mountain. I cannot wait to go back.
When I hear you're going to Christmas Mountain, right, in my head, I picture a giant mountain with snow and lights going up, like lights coming down. You know, like when you're at like a fair and the lights are hanging from the tent like this. Like that's what I picture. I just picture a snowy mountain, Christmas lights. Can you change this stigma for me that's stuck in my head? Like, is it a resort like a Dells type of thing? Or like I can't picture anything else but a snowy mountain with Christmas lights on it.
Okay, well, was there anything but snow? It was hot as balls. I swam the whole time. Mm-hmm. It was fully summertime, okay. And the cabins are blue and red or green and red, and that's about the extent of Christmas. Oh, there's a Christmas tree in the main lobby. Yeah, the main lobby of like the entrance desk. And there were some Christmas lights. See, I never went around Christmas. I don't know if they do Christmas like extra
they probably
special.
Go hard for Christmas.
I'm not sure that they do.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not positive about it. I could be wrong.
Is there a mountain of some sort? Giant hill?
It's on a big hill. Yeah. Okay. I mean, I guess
Christmas Mountain. Just because it's red and green cabins?
I have no idea where the name came from. I could probably actually do some research on that.
Ask Mr. Christmas.
Yeah. I'll call Santa Claus later. I believe, where was Santa Claus? Because halfway to Christmas, or not halfway to Christmas, Christmas in July was a couple days ago. Mm-hmm. And yeah, we were there. The Christmas thing just doesn't. It's called Christmas Mountain, but it really doesn't have much to do with Christmas at all.
That's why I'm confused. Like it's like, I mean, the skiing maybe in the winter. It probably looks really nice in the winter.
Yeah, well, I was there in March when it was like kind of the tail end of winter.
Was there snow?
There was a little snow, not a lot though. And there's hot tub, pool, golf course, ski lift.
Sounds like a blast.
Campsites, cabins. I experienced the cabin and the campsite in this last trip. Camped in a tent 2 of the 3 nights. It's a good time. I highly recommend Christmas Mountain to everyone who wants to visit the Wisconsin Dells because it's right outside of it, and you can go to all the places. You've been to the Wisconsin Dells, right?
Oh yeah.
Do you know anything about it? Like, is there any favorites you have there?
When I went, I was very, very young, like 10.
Uh-huh.
Maybe I'd say maybe between like 10 to 14. So not like really, really young, but young enough where I could vaguely remember Treasure Island and some of the the Great Wolf Lodge and some like the water slides we went on. I remember that and like walking through the park, and it was like a mini like attraction, like amusement park where you just walk through. There'd be like carnival game stands and go-karts and water slides and stuff like that. That's what I remember from the Dells. But I don't think that's the same vibe you get in Christmas Mountain.
Yeah, I mean, it's just
Right.
a really cool place. No, yeah, you're right. And I didn't check out any of the water parks though. Did you say you were at one of the water parks?
Oh yeah, and the Dells, yeah.
Yeah, and those look really cool.
That was what we did. We'd stay in a hotel that was connected to a water park, and it was incredible. And then you could go to other water parks. Like just because you're staying at Treasure Island doesn't mean you can't travel to Great Wolf Lodge and go to their slides and stuff like that.
Hell yeah, that is cool.
I mean, I don't know if things changed now.
Is there any food you remember?
Yeah, you would buy like. I think there was an area where you would buy food and drinks, and if you go to like the wave pool, you know, like the giant wave pool, you know what a wave pool is, and then there'd be like a stand where like they would sell drinks outside, like a giant. You'd almost see it like on a beach, like the giant wooden like circle where there's a couple bartenders behind there. I think they sold like food and drinks, like stuff like that.
Okay.
I think, and I'm telling, we're talking. I could say like we're talking over a decade ago. So yeah. I'm getting old.
Now it's like there's like this big street that just has like everything on it with restaurants and the water park and a roller coaster. And there's this place called
Christmas Mountain, you're saying?
No, this is at the Dells.
Oh, okay.
And Christmas Mountain is just like a ski resort outside of the Dells, like right outside of it.
Gotcha.
Like on top of it, basically.
Yeah.
And yeah, I really enjoy it. There's this restaurant there. There's this restaurant there that you would really like called the Grateful Shed. And in the Grateful Shed, the center of it has like a bar that serves alcoholic beverages, non-alcoholic beverages, ices, everything. And then surrounding it, there's like a little stand that sells pizza and wings, a little stand that sells tacos, a little stand that sells grilled cheese, and a little stand that sells ice cream. And that's probably one of my favorite places in the Wisconsin Dells as a whole.
So you're not... Go ahead. Go ahead.
It was just probably my favorite place food-wise to get food at the Wisconsin Dells. It's not like high quality or anything like that. Like, and I'm not saying it's not high quality like it's bad. I'm saying like it's not fancy by any means.
So like when you're there, you're not staying at a hotel. It's a cabin, and there's multiple people like in this cabin, like multiple families in a cabin.
No, just whatever family you go there with.
So you can only
rent it out to one family.
So you can only have two families renting it out at once?
No, one usually.
What you said? There's a red and a green though.
No, like the roof is green and the siding is red.
Oh,
like
so
Christmas
go to Christmas Mountain. There's like not a. It's like not public.
No.
It's just
a resort.
Aspect of this whole
thing. It's a resort. What about that is confusing?
I'm back to the snowy mountain. I can't picture it now. You just threw me off. That was a harder curveball than any MLB pitcher could throw.
That's funny.
Because now you really messed me up. I was getting it, and now I can't even picture it.
No, it's
like is this resort that you just rent out just for yourself?
No. It's like they're owners of each house, and it's like almost like a timeshare. I don't know how else to describe it. Yeah, Kalahari, that place is cool.
I think I've been there once. That was many years ago too, maybe, and not even staying there. Maybe just like stopping in and for the water slide and stuff like that. I used to be a big water slide guy, and I still am. I just don't go anywhere where they offer them usually.
Me too. I haven't been on one in a long time. Part of me wonders if I went on one, like a big one, would I decide right then and there I'm done with them?
I don't know.
It's been a long time. But yeah, so Christmas Mountain is like you rent the cabin in Christmas Mountain, and the stuff at Christmas Mountain, the golf course, the pool, the hot tub, it's all exclusive to the people that are renting one of the cabins at Christmas Mountain. Scott describes it perfectly. It's like rental cabins in the wilderness.
Yeah, the wilderness. You know the wilderness, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I can't picture the rental cabin, so that doesn't help me, Scott. I'm just a lost soul.
We'll show you some pictures.
If you show me a picture, I would get it.
And then there are also like houses on Christmas Mountain too, though. That's the thing that's.
So you could buy a house on Christmas Mountain?
Yeah. And then there are cabins that people rent and timeshare, and people actually live there. There are people that own them. And
the whole thing that's confusing me is that there's only like, it's not public. Like you're not going to see other life forms there. That's what confuses me.
It is. Okay. Is it public? I don't know. What do you mean by is it public?
Like, now how do I explain it?
You can't just walk up and go there.
No, that's not what I mean by public. That's not what I mean by public. I mean, like, will there be other families at this resort the same time you are? Or do you just have that whole ski mountain to yourself? Like, there's no other people staring.
There are other families there.
Okay, that's what I meant by public.
Yeah.
You said there wasn't. I'm like, so you got this whole place?
No. I thought you meant the cabin.
No. The whole resort as itself. Is it public to like where you will see other forms of life not related to you?
Many of them.
Okay, that's okay. So now you're reeling me back in, VP. Reeling me back in.
The pool on Saturday or the pool on Sunday was popping.
Okay.
There were lots of people there.
So now I'm starting to get it.
And there's a portion that has campsites, and almost all of them were full, right? Like there were hundreds of tents.
Okay, but only you guys were staying in the red and green cabin, correct?
For one of the nights.
And
the other 2 nights we slept in a tent at one of the campsites.
So other people who go there, who are using the pool, who are using all the other activities in the resort, are staying at like campsites or houses or something.
Yes, there's a portion to bring like your trailer. Like, you know how Jamie and Brian have like a camping trailer?
I think I'm back.
Yeah, you're back. You're back. There are so many different ways to use Christmas Mountain.
Yeah. Okay, I kind of get it now.
Yeah.
I kind of get it now.
So it's a good place. I highly recommend it.
I want to go there.
Yeah, maybe we'll all go sometime. It's a lot of fun.
It'd be sick.
Tomorrow, Crosstown Crosstalk has a very exciting episode featuring the Seattle Mariners site expert at Sodo Mojo of Fanside, and it's going to be a very strong Seattle Mariners episode since they're doing so well. And I'm very excited. They got the trade deadline coming up next Tuesday, so it's our last show before the trade deadline. And I just wanted to make sure that I tell everybody to make sure they tune in tomorrow at 2 p.m. and catch that episode. Frank, is there anything in baseball going on right now that you're super excited about?
Well, there's something I'm super depressed about, and that was the Mariners got swept to the Astros. That was rough. Oh my God, that was the series. Because I said they have a chance to win their division. Now I don't know, man. That is just the good thing is. Did the Astros lose yesterday? I think they lost yesterday, didn't they?
The Houston Astros? I can find out. I can find out for you right this
second. They're losing today. They might get swept by the A's, which would be huge.
That kind of annoys me. Yeah, they lost yesterday. The A's are coming to Guaranteed Rate Field Friday.
Yeah, they might sweep the Astros, which is big because of their juicy win yesterday. They were going down 4-3 on the 9th, and they walked it off. Big win because now they're chipping away with the Astros losing. And if the Astros could lose again today and the Mariners win, I'm excited for playoff baseball because it's not going to come in the form of the Cubs. So I'm going to be riding with these Mariners for October. They're going to make the playoffs. I can guarantee it.
I think the Mariners are going to make the playoffs too. Absolutely. Do you think – I mean, it's not really a matter of do you think. If you say no, then you're just not paying attention. But like Wilson Contreras and Ian Happ gone.
Yeah, he's gone. Yeah, they're gone. They had their little moment in the dugout.
Little sad.
It is sad because I love the Cubs. The Cubs are my number one team. I was born a Cubs fan. I've grown up with them. I got to see them win the World Series. It was incredible. I'll always love the Cubs, but we got to be honest here. They're not going to win. Doesn't look like they're going to win anytime soon. So right now, I'm feeling the Mariners out, and I'm rooting for their success.
There you go. I love that you love the Mariners, because I think everybody should have like some teams that they just vibe with when their team's not playing. Because I think watching more baseball, more sports, the better. But I will hate your guts for a week if they play the White Sox in the playoffs. I mean, I will be done with you for a week.
Oh man, they might. I mean,
well, the only reason I think it's possible is because the AL Central is probably only throwing one team to the playoffs, unless both the White Sox and the Twins, or both the White Sox and the Guardians go on a big run. Then two teams could come out. But if the White Sox win the Central and the Astros win the West, I would assume the Yankees and the Astros have the bye. And so the White Sox, as the third division winner, will play one of the wild card teams, which very well could be the Mariners.
That would be so. It could be White Sox, Mariners, and a one-game wild card.
No, it won't be the wild card.
Oh,
it certainly won't be the wild card. It would be because the one-game wild card is gone.
Oh, yeah, we talked about that.
There's the extra wild card team now. It would be 1 and 2 have a bye, 3 plays 6, 4 plays 5, and a 3-game.
They play each other in the first round.
Yeah, it would be the first round, but only a 3-game series, I think. So, and then the winner would go on to play one of the Yankees or Astros / other two division winners.
Julio's coming for the White Sox.
Yeah, I mean,
he's just been a monster.
It would all depend for me on who is hot going into the playoffs, right? Like the Mariners are 4-6 in their last 10, but still made it because of how good of a season they had. And the White Sox were 8-2 in their last 10. I would probably feel pretty good about it. If the roles were reversed, then I would probably not feel so good about it. Think about the Braves last year. What were the Braves? 88 and 76, I want to say.
Wow.
Yeah, and they were the worst team that made the playoffs record-wise. And we all know what they did late in October. And they got through hell to get there. They beat the Dodgers and the Astros. So, and who'd they play before that? Who would the Braves have beaten in the first round? Oh, would it have been the Brew Crew? That's probably who it was.
Was last year the game 163? All those 163s? No. That was when the Cubs played the Rockies, I think, in game 1. That was a few years ago.
The Cubs played
They had to play the Rockies and the Brewers.
They played the Brewers in game 163.
And they lost. And then they lost to the Rockies in the wild card.
Yes.
That wasn't last year now. Okay.
Yeah, that was 2018.
Okay.
And then they missed in 2019. And then they won their division in 2020, but choked to the Marlins.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So
we'll see.
That's baseball. 2 p.m. tomorrow. Seattle Mariners heavy episode. Frank, the NFL is also back. And the Chicago Bears started their training camp. All the teams are getting going. You getting pumped. I know this is our time to shine. We're getting close.
I'm getting really excited. You're going to come watch the first Sunday night game with me, right?
I wouldn't be too surprised, actually, if I'm there the Thursday and the Sunday and maybe even the Monday. We need snacks on snacks on snacks, though.
We'll get snacks. That's a given. I can't wait. I'm really, really excited. We'll see what Mitch does.
Mitch.
We'll see how the Bears do. They're not projected to do too well. Yeah.
It's a battle with them and the Hawks for the worst team in Chicago.
Even though I think it's the Hawks as the worst. Breaks my heart.
The Bears don't have a Patrick Kane. Until the Hawks get rid of Kane.
That's the other thing I was going to mention.
Oh, Skyler is reading my mind. I know he's reading yours too. But really quick, who's the best player on the Bears? I think there's an obvious number one. There's an obvious number one best player. There's an obvious number two best player. And then The rest is a crapshoot. There's one guy we hope becomes the best player.
I got to be honest with you. I don't know what they did this offseason, so I don't know who's left.
No.
Is Robinson still on the team?
No, he's on the Rams now.
Okay, so yeah, I have no idea what they did this offseason.
I'm telling you, their best player is Roquan Smith. Their second best player is Robert Quinn. And then their third best player, Mooney.
Justin Fields will turn it
Montgomery. I hope, Frank.
I like Justin Fields. I'm not losing hope yet.
I love Justin Fields. I just have no hope in the Bears to develop him.
I don't know. Speaking of the Bears, did you see the renovation plans for potentially adding a dome on Soldier Field?
It's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. I agree with you. And it's not even a real dome.
Here's the thing. It could happen. I worded it wrong. It could happen, but the Bears aren't playing there.
It's probably not going to happen.
I think they re-innovate Soldier Field and we get an AFC team.
The reason why they're saying that is because they don't want the Bears to leave Chicago and go to Arlington. They're trying to do everything they can to make it more appealing for them to stay in the city of Chicago.
I know. Nothing's going to fix the parking, though.
Yeah, I know.
Like, you have to take a shuttle from your goddamn car to the fucking stadium.
Every time I've gone to a Bears game, and I've never been to a regular season Bears game, every game I've gone to has been preseason. We've always had to park in this parking lot, this rundown parking lot. And it's not connected to the stadium. Like you said, you got to shuttle over there or walk. I remember walking like 20 minutes.
I remember walking and shuttling on the same freaking trip.
Yeah, so that's the only thing that sucks.
The one regular season game I've been to is probably the best regular season game the Bears have played in the last 10 years. It was the game against the Los Angeles Rams on Sunday Night Football that they squeaked out the win at the end. The only game that might be better in the regular season the last couple years was when they beat the Buccaneers. But, I mean, there was also like week 4 and the Bears sucked and they got lucky as hell. But, I mean, I think they're going to get an AFC team. I do. By the time you're 50, Chicago will be home to 2 NFL teams. One in the AFC and one in the NFC. I don't know if the Jaguars will move to Chicago and play at Soldier Field. Imagine Trevor Lawrence coming to Chi-Town.
Who would you be a fan of?
I mean, I would not have disdain towards the new AFC team like I do like the Cubs.
But you would like the original Bears team.
I think I would have to root for the Bears, but here's what I would hope. I would hope that this new AFC team came in and was sick. Like, so sick. Light a fire under the Bears' ass. Like, imagine if they came in and they had a Trevor Lawrence. Yeah. Or they had, like, they drafted a sick, or if it was an expansion team, they drafted a sick quarterback, and in 1 year of existence, they had a passer throw for over 4,000 yards, something the Bears have never had.
Yeah.
They have never had a 4,000-yard passer. The closest was Jay Cutler when he had 3,600. They played an extra damn game last year, and they still couldn't come an extra, whatever. It's just terrible. Absolutely terrible, the Bears. But I get to watch Tom. And I know you're excited about the Steelers, right?
Oh, yeah. I'm really excited about the Steelers. I'm really excited about the Survivor Challenge pool thingy where you pick a team every week,
Yeah, absolutely. So are there any other sports or video games or something you're thinking about this weekend?
I hope you start.
What?
The Guillotine League, I hope you start.
I will do the Guillotine League.
Please?
I will do the Guillotine League.
Other stuff. Yeah, I got some stuff written down here. First of all, I really got to get my shit together when it comes to Game of Thrones. I was this close to watching it last night. This close.
Okay.
And then, stuff happens. But I'm all in on Game of Thrones still. I don't want you to think otherwise. I want your opinion. You're caught up on Big Brother?
I am caught up on Big Brother. Sorry, I was reading the score of the White Sox game. I am caught on Big Brother. I watched Sunday night's episode yesterday because I was gone, and I was a little surprised at the outcome there. But, sometimes when I guess I didn't know this about Big Brother. When you put yourself up as a pawn,
Oof.
they don't like that.
Never put yourself up as a pawn. You always go home, dude. Always.
Yeah.
It works out.
You thought there was no chance once he did that?
Well, yeah, because once you do that, like, you're just inviting yourself to be evicted. Very rare. If somebody volunteers to go on the block, you know how stupid you have to be? Like, Pooch is a moron.
Yeah. He is dumb.
What do you think of the twist, though? The festy twist? It's a little weird.
It's a little weird. Is it going to be like that for the whole show?
No. Stuff like that never lasts the whole show. Probably a few weeks.
But right now, it's lasting for more than a week?
Yeah. I'd say 3 weeks, 4 weeks maybe.
How do you feel about Michael?
I like him.
That's the glasses guy, right?
Yeah. I like him. I think he's a genius. The dude's got to lose the attitude a little bit.
It's starting to get to me.
It is starting to get to me.
He hates everyone.
Yeah, and it's just
everyone.
The shit smells good, but other than that, he's a smart player. But the attitude, his whole personality, is just rubbing me the wrong way.
It really kind of is lately. Like, I liked him at first. He's kind of a dork, like easy to root for. Now he's starting to annoy me. I've won the veto contest. I'm gonna win my third one. Bro, you're going home, bro.
Yeah, I know. That's the only thing. Isn't he? Wait, is he on the block?
Yes. He's on the block with his festy bestie, Brittany.
Oh, yeah. And he's like, yeah, I know I'm safe. And
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just rubbing me the wrong way.
Absolutely.
There's a couple more things I want to talk about in relation to watching things. There's this show we've been watching. It's brand new on cable television called Final Straw. If you just ever want to pass the time, want to throw it on, it's like a game show. It is one of the coolest concepts for a game show I've seen. It's like Jenga, but they use like real world items. Like, say the theme for that giant Jenga thing is bathroom. Okay? They will have a giant tower, and each level will be something different. There might be a level of toilets, a level of plungers, a level of toilet paper, and teams take turns removing pieces, and whichever one falls loses. They lose that game, and the other team advances in like a tournament style thing. It's so unique and so cool. I don't know. It's just
well, it's called The Final Straw.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna check some YouTube clips, and then I'm gonna.
Brand new. They've only ever had, I think, 2 episodes. It's brand new. It just started. It's just so much fun. I'm vibing.
I like that. I like that a lot. That sounds really funny. Bathroom.
They haven't had that yet, but like.
Oh, I was gonna say, did you pull that example out, or
yeah,
did you, like,
just out of my? Because they did like, what was one they did? They did candy, where they'd have like cookie jars on one level, or like giant gumdrops, or giant candy fountains as one level, and like you'd have to remove the fountain, and then if you do, all right, the other team's up, and like they'd have a staircase that goes around it that you can move because this tower is so tall. It is massive. The tower has to be like 40 feet in the air. And just when you pull the wrong one and it comes crashing down and everything gets destroyed, it's really cool. And then if you make it to the end, because like I said, it's kind of like a mini tournament, then you get to play for $250,000 on the final like tower, and that gets hyped too. That gets really hyped.
And what channel is this on?
I don't know. Either 7 or it's like one of your basic cables. Okay. Yeah.
Interesting. I'm going to definitely give that a look.
7. It is on 7, yeah.
Okay. I'm definitely going to give that a look. I'm excited to check that out. That sounds fun.
Wait, one more thing.
All right, I'm listening.
When it comes to watching things, did you see what Marvel has announced lately while you were gone?
Oh, my God. I still haven't watched the new Black Panther trailer, though. I never got around to watching it.
You know how much I didn't like the Black Panther movie.
Yeah, right? You're wild for that. That's one of your
stand by it.
One of your spiciest
takes. 5 times. I don't understand the hype around it.
That's
I
one
think
of the
it
only takes
stinks.
that like everyone disagrees with you on. You
I know.
have no partner on that.
Well, except G.
Yeah, but you guys watched it together and like formed that opinion
And
together.
I've watched it like 5 times, and I'm like, all right, if I watch it again, it'll get better. It doesn't get better for me. I'm bored. I want to fall
Killmonger is one of the
asleep.
coolest characters. The guy from Avengers: Age of Ultron who ends up only having the one arm, like,
I'm
and
so happy I didn't
freaking
see it in
Bucky
theaters.
at the end, like.
I would have been disappointed if I wasted money to see it in theaters. It's not even in my top 20.
I saw it in theaters twice.
Yeah, I don't know.
So
But
good.
Wakanda Forever, it has the chance to elevate it. I watched it. I was like, what? This has a chance to revive me back in this franchise. If it sucks, I might have to be out on Black Panther. But I think this movie is about to be insane. The vibe I was getting from it, the music that they put in the trailer, I was getting so hyped for this movie. It was incredible.
I missed it while I was at Christmas Mountain. I have to watch it right when this episode ends. I forgot to watch it.
And watch the She-Hulk trailer. That's hype too. There was something that happened in the She-Hulk trailer. I was like,
I'm all in. And
but did you see the timeline for the movies coming out?
The timeline looks so awesome. Fantastic Four on there.
The 2 Avengers movies.
Yep.
The Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars. Secret Wars is like the next Endgame.
Yeah. I know. And Skylar points out that I have to watch the OG Daredevil with Charlie Cox. I know. Especially now. Because now it's like fully going to be part of it. And yeah. He was in freaking Doctor Strange, wasn't he? For like 5 minutes?
Who?
Daredevil.
Oh, Daredevil, yeah.
He was at the beginning in the kitchen for like a little scene there. So yeah, I will be for sure watching that.
I did so much research when that came out, and I was like texting Dylan because Dylan like knows everything Marvel and like superheroes and stuff like that.
It was Spider-Man, not Doctor Strange. Sorry.
Oh yeah, it was Spider-Man. So I was doing like research on it, and Kang, he's a badass. He's very, very, very powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And we saw him at the end of Loki. You're gonna see him again in the near future. And I don't know. This dude is very powerful.
Yeah, that's exciting. I love where the MCU is going with that whole story with him being powerful and
just wait. Wait. You're gonna see him in a movie you're not expecting.
I'm sure.
I don't want to say it to spoil you, but it's like almost confirmed what movie he'll be in.
Okay.
But
did you ever end up going to see Thor?
No, I haven't.
Me either. Freaking Joey, freaking Dylan. I hate them.
Can I tell you what the movie is? Like, it's not that much of a secret. Like, he's probably going to be a major factor in Ant-Man and the Quantum Manium.
Oh, okay.
Kang or Kong, I think it's Kang. He's going to be. That's like when you'll really see, like, all right, this next big villain's him in that movie. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that would make sense. I heard it's gonna. I read an article that Ant-Man's new movie is gonna like be entirely different than the first 2 Ant-Man movies, where those are like really funny and like comedy is the main thing, and it's the main like type of story for both Ant-Man movies. It's a very serious, like dark story surrounding it, but it's obviously a very funny movie. Paul Rudd is hilarious, but
I heard that with Guardians 3 too. It's not going to be as goofy. It's going to be more on the serious side.
I'm sure. I mean, the whole thing is just kind of in a serious direction right now. Everything that Thanos did is just caused like major
multiverse stuff.
Chaos. Yeah, exactly. It's wild.
You got to finish Hawkeye and start Miss Marvel. Or did you finish Hawkeye?
I have like 3 episodes of Hawkeye left. I'm caught up on everything else. 3 episodes of Hawkeye that I just got to find a couple hours. A little harder in the summertime, but I'll catch up on that, and then I got to do Miss Marvel, and then Thor.
Thor, we need to do Thor too.
I know. What a tweak on our part! Wow.
At this point, I'm just gonna wait until it's on Disney Plus. Get to that. It hasn't been a month yet. But
I don't know. But part of me wants to experience it in theaters at the same time, like with the loud music and everything.
We still have the time before it reaches Disney Plus, so we can watch it still if you want.
I know. And I agree with Skylar that the MCU finally has a direction again, because it really hasn't since the Infinity Saga ended.
Yeah, they're calling this the multiverse saga.
Yeah.
Did you see that? They made a whole post about it. They released it. It says, "Welcome to the Multiverse Saga." So phases 1, 2, 3 was the Infinity Saga, and phases 4, 5, and 6 they're calling the Multiverse Saga.
That makes sense. Was Endgame the end of Phase 3? Well, second to last movie of Phase 3? Because Spider-Man No Way Home.
That was Phase 3.
Yeah, that was the last one in Phase 3. Because it capped off Endgame.
And now we're in Phase 4.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. And then Phase 5 is where we're getting serious.
Yeah.
We're getting back to that Infinity War Endgame vibes. It's going to be, mark my words, Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars is going to be very similar to Infinity War and Endgame. They're back-to-back movies. Infinity War and Endgame weren't back-to-back, but I'm sure these will be filmed back-to-back because we're going to get an Avengers movie and then another Avengers movie. I mean, we've never had that before. We get 2 Avengers movies back-to-back.
Yeah, you're right. I believe they were filmed back-to-back, but definitely not released back-to-back.
They weren't released, and these 2 Avengers movies are going to be released back-to-back.
What came out in between? Ant-Man and the Wasp?
Black Panther.
And no, Black Panther was before Infinity War.
It was before Infinity War.
I want to say
Ant-Man and the Wasp and Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel. That's right.
And Black Panther was the one before Infinity War.
And Thor Ragnarok was right before.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's the MCU. Yeah, man, I love that stuff. It's so good. Where's that a-hole in the chat ripping on us for liking MCU stuff?
What was his name again? I forgot.
I don't freaking pay attention. I pay attention to important people. And then you got this guy in the chat talking about the Trailblazers. I don't think have we mentioned basketball in this show once?
No.
Yeah, Blazers should trade Lillard. Yeah, Damian Lillard. Dame 3 times. Damie 3 times. They should definitely trade him. Trade him to the Chicago Bulls.
Maybe.
Give me Lillard. Wouldn't that be something if the Bulls got Lillard?
I don't think he's leaving Portland.
No. Is he the best player Portland ever had?
I don't know. I haven't followed the NBA that long back in the day, so I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. So
I got some video game news, though. I know you asked me about that, too.
Yeah, lay it on me.
I'll go. This stuff will just be very quick. I got an MW2 multiplayer reveal rumored for September. So for all you Call of Duty fans.
Absolutely. That's awesome.
Grand Theft Auto 6 is rumored to have a potential fall 2024 release date or 2025, somewhere in the 2025 range. And GTA 6 will make history by featuring a female playable character in its campaign for the first time ever. As one of the main characters.
That is sick. Wow.
And yeah, I know that's you're making progress there.
Yeah.
There's this video game too that is coming. I think it's out or there's an open beta right now because everything right now is a multiverse. The video game's called Multiverse, and it's almost oh my god, not Strikers. What's that game? Oh, Super Smash Bros. But it's it brought all characters from all different universes together. There's Batman in there, and he might fight Scooby-Doo or stuff like that. It's a game based on a multiverse of bringing all these different characters together. Harley Quinn's in it, but then somebody you wouldn't expect would be in it, Pickle Rick from Rick and Morty.
Pickle Rick!
So, I mean, stuff like that. It's the whole world right now is a multiverse and just embracing a whole multiverse thing. I just thought it was a really cool concept for a video game.
That is cool.
And being a Smash, that's interesting.
That is.
But that's what I got for you.
Who's going to be on the cover of NHL?
Well, I've done a lot of speculating. I've wrote many articles. At first, I wrote an article because I thought it'd get some traction. It did. It got some pretty good traction. And it was titled, "Did EA Sports just accidentally release the cover athlete for NHL 23?" And it mentioned when Austin Matthews scored 50 goals, they made a comment, well, maybe we have to put him on the cover for the third time. They said that. It's not going to be Austin Matthews.
It's not going to happen.
It's impossible. Impossible. I do think this is just me speculating. I haven't heard this from a source, so if it happens, I'm smart. I think it's going to be somebody, and not just because they're in the Stanley Cup. It's a different year. It's going to be somebody from Colorado or Tampa, I think. It may be Cale Makar.
That's my prediction.
It may be Cale Makar. But we'll see.
That is absolutely my prediction. I wanted your thoughts on that. I totally think it's going to be Cale Makar. That is 100% my prediction. Outside of Cale Makar, like thinking of who it could be, what if they put like Tkachuk in a Flames jersey? And
No, I don't see it.
Off?
Not this year.
McJesus has already been on it. They won't put Draisaitl.
It could be McKinnon.
No, Austin Matthews.
It could be McKinnon. It could be Vasilevsky.
That would be cool. Nate Dogg with Makar would be awesome.
I always said they need to put somebody from Vegas on there or Seattle, but this isn't the year. It has the feeling of somebody from the Stanley Cup final. I just have that feeling.
That's fair. Jack Eichel gets it one day though.
Maybe. I'm a little surprised we haven't had an announcement yet. Usually we used to get it by the NHL awards or This is weird.
It's the cover isn't as synonymous with the game anymore just because everything's digital. But it's still like there's still covers on the digital version, right? Like I don't know.
Yeah, there is. There's a picture. Yeah.
Did they announced the Madden cover? Is it John Madden?
Yeah.
Yeah, I might buy it. I haven't bought Madden in a long time.
I love Madden.
My problem is I know NCAA is coming out soon.
Yep.
And I'll be getting that day one. Day one.
But the greatest part is you could have both.
Yes, absolutely. I think it'd be cool if they figured out a way to intertwine them. You play your season
in college.
In the college ranks, you develop your guy, and then you bring him over to Madden.
That would be insane.
It would be like we're in the year 2022. We can make that happen.
Yeah, it's possible.
Like if I make Vinny Parisi and I send him to, let's say I want to like make it really fun, right? And I send him to NIU. And I lead the MAC in passing, touchdowns, and fewest interceptions. And I put him through the transfer portal, and LSU wants him. And then I walk on at LSU and make it and play for them, win a natty, and then get taken first overall by like, I don't know, any team, the Bears, the freaking Cardinals, whoever. That would be fun. Or you could play it the traditional way, just send your guy to Alabama, lead the team in sacks or whatever, play defense, and then get drafted first, second, third overall to the NFL. That would be fun too.
Do you know how long it would take though to make a game like that? Like it takes years to develop like a Madden game and a college game, and just to put them together, it would take some time.
I'm sure it would.
It'd have to be something they're like in talks about right now, and do it for like next year's Madden.
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. But yeah. Is that all you got on video games for now?
Yeah, just a quick little update.
And make sure you follow at the King Bean on Twitter and at AppTrigger on Twitter to make sure you get all of Frankie Mueller's video game news. And with that, we are going to send you to America's favorite podcast segment of the week, Breaking Bets. And welcome to a very nice edition of Breaking Bets on episode 69 of Bard on Talking Hockey. Frank, the floor is yours.
3 picks back to the MLB slate last week. There were no MLB games, so I had to give some cheeky little picks, but we're back today. The first pick I'm going to go off of is just purely on where the money is flowing in. All right. Guardians and Red Sox play today. It is Quantrill versus Eovaldi. Over-under is at 8.5, but it started at 9. However, 92% of the cash is on the over, so you would think they jack it up to 9.5 or 10 on the over, but no. The over went from 9 to 8.5, which is a little fishy and a little sus. So I like the under 8.5 at minus 110, just purely off where the money is flowing. So we'll see if it works out. It has in the past, stuff like that. And when so much of the money is on one side, or so much of the public is on one side, tend to fade the other side or go the other direction. I mean, it is profitable. It is proven profitable over a long period of time. Of course, it doesn't win every time, but over a longer span of time, it is proven profitable. Next up, Marlins are playing the Reds. Reds are going for the sweep. They're not. There's no way they sweep the Marlins. They might, but I'm not taking the Reds at like minus 150. Reds stink. Marlins are decent. They're okay. You get the Marlins money line at plus 132. Risk it for the biscuit. Throw something on it. Because in no world should you ever take the Reds at minus 150, whatever they are, 150, 160. No, Castillo's on the mound. I think Garrett's on the mound for the Marlins. He's only pitched like not too many games this year, but he hasn't been terrible in the games he's pitched. Castillo, he's all right. Overrated in my opinion. He was better a few years ago. Not the same Castillo. I like the Marlins money line at plus 132. My last pick is just like, it just feels right. Not a lot of value in this pick, but it's just, I never usually include picks like this. So you want a winner. This just feels like a winner. The Subway Series between the New York Yankees and the New York Mets is going on right now. Mets took game 1 yesterday. I think they're going to take game 2 today with Max Scherzer on the mound. I like the Mets minus 179. It's a lot. It's a high price, but Germain is pitching. He was terrible in his first game back from injury. Oh, my God. He was so bad. And now you're going to play the Mets when the Mets bats are really cooking, and Pete Alonso and McNeil and who else has just been killing it for the Mets right now. Their bats have just been flying. Germain's not going to be able to hold them down. I like the Mets at minus 179. If you're feeling a little frisky and you just don't want to take that straight up because it's a little bit of a higher price, then parlay it with something. Parlay it with one of the other picks I said. Parlay with the under in the Red Sox game. Parlay it with the Marlins. Do whatever you like. It's up to you. But those are my picks this week.
Very good picks, Frank. But the Subway Series is magnificent. I'll probably talk about that at length tomorrow, too, on Crosstown Crosstalk. Did you look at the over-under in the White Sox game yesterday? I wonder if you touched it.
It was no,
freaking 11.
It was 11. It was 11 and a half today. It's probably not going to go over.
Yeah, that's so high. I know they're at Coors Field, and
it goes over a lot.
At Coors, I know, but the White Sox have great pitching and a hit-or-miss offense.
There was a statistic yesterday. I forgot the exact number. There was like 2,000 and something games played at Coors Field lifetime. And do you know, I don't know if you heard, the amount of times a game has gone scoreless through 3 innings at Coors Field in over 2,000 games? Do you know? Or if you had to take a guess.
Well, it's got to be something outrageous.
Well, it's not like 10.
All right, what is it?
188.
Wow.
That's not a lot.
That's not a lot.
Out of over 2,000 games?
Yeah, that's not a lot at all.
That is like less than 10%. I think Steve Stone and Benetti said it was like 1 out of every 11 games or something like that goes scoreless through 3 innings.
Yeah.
That's insane.
That is insane.
That's why the over-under is always so high at Coors Field.
Yeah, and they suck, right? Like their record, they're 10 games under.
Mm-hmm.
They lead the league in runs scored at home.
But that's the problem. They don't win on the road. They can't hit on the road.
Well, do you remember last year?
Yeah, they're crazy. They had like one of the best home records, but one of the worst road records.
Yeah, and they missed the playoffs by like a lot.
That's the problem they have there. I think the altitude plays a huge factor too. When you're traveling constantly from the high altitude to playing other ballparks, that's got to be somewhat as a disadvantage. It has to be.
Absolutely. Did you hear Liam Hendriks after the game yesterday?
No.
Couldn't breathe. And he gave up a solo shot. He was like fatigued. And Liam Hendriks doesn't look fatigued ever. He's jumping all over the place and screaming. Liam Hendriks, you could call me a homer. You could call me whatever you want. Liam Hendriks is one of the best closers in the MLB. He might be top. The only one who I would probably take over him is Clase from the Guardians.
Yeah.
Maybe Hader, but Hader and Hendricks are really close. The Rockies are 28
this year.
No. The Rockies are 28-24 at home and 16-30 on the road.
Yeah, see, it's bad.
But last year, hold on. Last year, the freaking Rockies were 48-33 at home and 26-54 on the road.
It's disgusting, honestly.
It's crazy.
I think it has many reasons to do with the altitude.
Oh, I mean, to me, it has everything to do with it.
When you travel constantly back and forth when you're a mile above sea level and you're used to like the ball flying off the bat in cores, and then you go to a different ballpark, you have to almost change the way you hit because you don't have to put that much like force into it when you're at cores. So like you have that same mindset when you're on the road. It's just crazy, man.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. So that's it. That's our show. And we talked we're a hockey show that's 2 hours and 30 minutes into this thing. And I would say most of our show was about hockey. It's not like we filled it in talking about like Cheetos or anything like that.
The first two periods were all about hockey.
Literally. And then we had some fun in the third period talking about random shit. And we even talked about hockey a little bit in that period, talking about the NHL cover. So
exactly.
I highly encourage everyone to get more of Frankie Mueller's video gaming news via his Twitter and App Trigger's Twitter. Add him on Facebook. Do what you got to do to get freaking Frankie's shit because he's awesome and he does an outstanding job covering this stuff. There's no other place. I used to be like an IGN regular. Now I'm an App Trigger regular.
Hell yeah.
And, that's just the way it is. It's the best video game content on the internet. And you could also follow my stuff at Vinny Parisi on Twitter. I do the Chicago sports teams plus the New Jersey Devils. Big off season for the Devils going on right now. The Bears are about to start. The White Sox and the Cubs are going strong. I'll be covering the Cubs trading away everyone while the White Sox trying to load up for the playoffs. We'll see what happens with either team, but I'm excited about it. And then tomorrow, 2 p.m., Crosstown Crosstalk, Seattle Mariners heavy episode. We're working on a Chicago White Sox drafted prospect for an upcoming future show. And then the South Burbs Hitmen will be back on Monday. And that's just a couple of the many great shows here on the Barroom Network that I highly encourage everyone to check out. Frank, is there anything else you have for the people? Nice. This was a nice episode, number 69.
Yeah, it was very fun. It flew by. It doesn't even feel like 2.5 hours. And
it really doesn't. It really doesn't. I hope we help people with their work, right? Like if you're sitting there working, listening to us, I hope we help.
And I get to get my big brother fix in tonight, so that should be fun.
Big brother.
Oh yeah. Can't wait.
I could be the new guy. I'm gonna make an audition video just for shits and gigs. I could go win $750,000.
Let's do it. It used to be 500,000, and now it's $750,000.
Yeah, I mean, I like to think I'm friendly, but I also like to think I know how to tell people when to go F themselves when I need to.
And you could win comps when you need to.
I think I can be okay in the games. There are a couple of them where I'm like, I don't know if I'm strong enough for that in my arms, but like. Also, I'm with my back. I'm not as nimble as I once was. But like that game they played yesterday or Sunday with the lighter and they had to hold their hand on the button and then get to a chair. Yeah. I think I would be phenomenal at that. I have won many musical chairs games in my life. I feel like if I decide I'm winning musical chairs, I can at least make it to the final two. And then when you're in the final two, it just kind of depends if you're lucky enough for the music to stop when the chair's facing you. I mean,
it was a very interesting challenge.
Yeah.
I liked it.
I would try and win it and be like the head of house instead of purposely throwing it so I could choose my partner.
Yeah, if you win, you get to choose your partner, but
yeah.
That's fine. You're still safe. And
I'd rather be safe. Being safe would trump everything.
Yeah.
So any game strategy would take a back seat to being safe.
Exactly. I agree.
So, and I'm not acting like a Big Brother aficionado. I wish I, was smart enough. Like I'm not necessarily a super fan because I haven't been watching the show since its inception. But I also think there's a downside to being a super fan because being a know-it-all almost gets you nowhere, and it's about to get frickin' Michael the can.
Michael's a super fan.
Michael's a super fan that's going fucking nowhere. Okay, he's going home. He's going. He could take his super fanness all the way to being the third person out, second person evicted.
VP hates Michael.
I don't hate Michael. I don't hate anyone.
Dislikes Michael hard.
No, he's got an attitude. He could turn it around though. If I'll give him this though, if he wins the veto competition for the 3rd straight week, he's allowed to brag about whatever the fuck he wants. There are people in the world who are allowed to brag, in my opinion. If Sidney Crosby bragged about how sick he was, I'd be like, fuck yeah. You're sick, Sid.
There's no shot he wins for the 3rd week in a row. No shot. We'll find out tonight. I don't know if you're watching.
Big brother.
There's no shot. I'd be surprised, dude.
We will see. Make sure you tune in if you're a fan. Of course, all the great shows, all the people listening in the chat. Skyler, the guy who likes the Blazers. Skox. King Pookie was in here for a minute. I know we got plenty of people watching at home. Aldo was in here. Good to see you, Aldo. I hope you enjoyed the show. Thank you for everything. And make sure you follow at the King Bean on Twitter. I'm at Vinny Parisi on Twitter. As always, thank you for listening.